Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a football Friday morning. And we started with a win for the Buffalo Bills, who are now a perfect 3-0. This could be their year. They've had great regular seasons before. We'll see when we get to the playoffs. But the Chiefs are the team that's beat them 4 times in the last 5 years in the postseason, and the Bengals are the other one. And with Joe Burrow injured and the Chiefs off to an 0-2 start, does seem to clear the road a bit, doesn't it? And it's still September. Dalton Kincaid, the former Ute, strong game, 5 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. Game was tied at 7, at 14, at 21. But one big play. One moment, as Pablo Mastroeni will probably tell us later this morning when he joins us. The Bills go down and get a score for 28-21. Can the Dolphins match it? No. Tua throws a pick. Bills run the clock down, eat up with a lot of the clock, kick a field goal, and by the time they kick the field goal, that's the ball game. That is it. It's over, 31-21. Bills get the win. There was no time for Miami to come back at that point. Well done by Buffalo, and they pick up yet another W. We'll have more on football, our locks of the week coming up. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we are talking football. Big 12 football with Barry Tramel next. Stay with us. DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We are joined now by Barry Tramel, sports columnist for the Tulsa World, our Big 12 expert. Barry, good morning.
How you guys doing?
Good. We wanted a big football game. We're getting a big football game. It's Utah and Texas Tech.
Let me ask
ready.
you a question.
Let's
Let me
be
ask you guys a question.
All right.
How is the atmosphere and build up and just the whole vibe around this game compared to some of Utah's showdown games in the Pac-12 era?
It's good. I think this is good, but it's not great. I mean, when USC came to town for a big game, that had a level, that just ramped people up. People are pretty excited for this game, though. And this isn't nothing. This is a big deal. And also, I think that there's less of that Pac-12 comparison this year than last year. And there's just so much frustration over how bad last year got, and Ute fans just can't wait to get a big win.
But the fans don't want to be in the Big 12. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
And I don't think Utah wants to be in the Big 12.
It's where they
Pac-12 hangover.
It's where they need to be now.
Because, Barry, in this market, as you know, everything is compared to each other. So it's always BYU compared to Utah, right? And so that's going to split the market immediately because you're going to have a significant portion of the fan base who's going to be for the Cougars. And it was for years and years, it was the Cougars that were going to get into the Pac-10, and then they got undercut. And the Utes just they went nuts on that, and they let BYU fans, they could talk about what are they going to do with all the bumper stickers, and guys got Pac-12 tattoos and whatnot. So there's this big come down that you're not in the conference. But I do think that Ryan Smith, the guy who owns the Jazz and then the Mammoth, he made a statement when the hockey team came here. He says, and he's speaking we as a people of the state, we show up for big events. And when we get to Saturday morning and people see Urban Meyer down the street from the stadium and that big noon Fox spiel that they have, they'll be all over it. And I think it'll be okay at that point.
Well, I think it's interesting. It's also early.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the Big 12 race is interesting. It looks like, who knows? For all I know, Cincinnati's going to win the whole thing. But it looks like perhaps Utah, Tech, and Iowa State could be the top 3. Don't know if they will, but could be.
Yeah, I may put TCU in there.
Yeah, maybe. But this is the only game between those 3 is what I'm saying.
Right. And that's so
screwy.
Nobody
else plays each other.
Right.
So, yeah. It's way too early to know. TCU, the Baylor-Arizona State winner, was back sort of in the saddle despite disappointments. Houston, Arizona State went from last to first and from summer to fall. Houston doesn't look like a great team, but who knows?
Right.
But you know what? I do like Utah. I do like Tech. I do like Iowa State. So that'd be the three I'd have at the top right now.
Yeah, for me, I don't think there's any argument with that statement. And we made the statement, or at least I did. I think DJ backed me up that there's. So I divided the conference into four tiers of four right now, and those three that you put in, and I put in TCU. And then in the second tier, I had Kansas and ASU and BYU. And there's only one reason BYU is not in the top tier and they're in the second tier, recognizing that I do not eliminate the second tier, any of those teams having the possibility at least to finish second and get to Arlington. But the only reason why BYU is not in the top tier is because they have a freshman quarterback, and that produces a lot of unknown. If they had Retzlaff, then I clearly would put them in the top, but they don't.
No, I think that's solid. Who's your fourth team in tier 2?
Who is my fourth team? Let me go back and check.
Kansas State or no?
No.
The teams he had down further that are now in the third tier that none of us were talking about, that would be this year's ASU.
Oh, I think I had Baylor.
Yeah.
Oh, Baylor. Yeah, that's solid. Yeah, that's solid.
ASU, BYU, Colorado all came out of nowhere to get to 7-2 and share first place in the regular season. So to me, those teams this year, you got to look at Houston and you got to look at Arizona, because nobody was talking about him. Now, people did talk about Rich Rod because he's a personality. He's got some celebrity. But if West Virginia goes to Kansas and wins, and they're 3-1 and 1-0, and they've beaten Kansas and Pitt, then they go into that group about, wow, nobody believed in you, and yet here we are in late September. Are we going to start watching this movie again, and are one of you three going to come out of nowhere? Long way to go, and Arizona has a bye this week, so they can dream big for another week and no risk.
Yeah, I'm bigger on Arizona than I am West Virginia. I don't think West Virginia is very good at all. They won because emotion, and Pitt's not very good. And
yeah, and Kansas is a huge favorite this week. I mean, the dream can die right here.
Yeah. I actually, you know what? I made a joke about Cincinnati a minute ago, but I actually thought they played pretty good against Nebraska in Kansas City.
Right.
So I think they could be competitive.
Oh, they were my sleeper team this year.
Yeah. Cincinnati was?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I just, being down there in Dallas, talking to the guys, talking to the quarterback, to what degree of sleeper remains to be seen. But I thought they were going to be a tough out on any given Saturday. And so they could surprise people depending on who they're playing that particular week and how that other team is playing and who's available for the opponent. But yeah, I thought particularly if you went to Cincinnati, if you got out of there with a win, you should be pretty pleased about that.
Yeah. Have one of the Utah schools been up there yet?
No.
To play?
BYU went as an independent when Cincinnati wasn't in. Neither one of them were in the Big 12 yet. But that was a while ago. I think that was when Taysom Hill was in school. So
yeah, was Tuberville the coach then?
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well,
yeah.
You know, it's really a cool place to go watch a football game.
Yeah.
It's so different than anything else. It's an urban campus right in the middle of a campus that's right in the middle of a big city, and it's right in the middle of buildings. You're less than 50 yards from the student union. You're 50 yards from the student wellness center. I mean, that's basically the walls of the stadium. The perimeter of the stadium are other buildings, and it's sunken down. Nippert Stadium, I thought, is a pretty cool place to go. So I don't know if he'll win enough to keep his job, but I think they are a dangerous team. But no, I'm fired up about Utah Tech. Because here's the deal. I got all fired up about the Utes when they just trampled UCLA, but all of a sudden that doesn't look so good because New Mexico's trampling them too. And then Tech hadn't played anybody at all, literally. So, but I think both are really good, but it's time to find out what they've got, and this game certainly does that.
Have you been paying attention, and I assume you have, not just from the Big 12 perspective, but from the college sports perspective, all the money that Texas Tech is willing to throw around. And we had their sideline guy on earlier in the week, and people tend to get defensive when you bring up the money. And I said, well, come on here. You paid a softball pitcher to go from Stanford to Texas Tech, and she gets you all the way in the final. And you probably pay attention to that because you're right in Norman, and right in that very city is a national powerhouse of a softball team. And so if you can pay a young lady, to go from Palo Alto to Lubbock, then clearly you've got enough money. And then his response was, well, yeah, but we're not the only ones doing it. Everybody gets defensive. BYU, oh, no, we're not the highest bidder. I don't know why these teams get defensive, or these programs, universities get defensive about throwing around a bunch of money, because it's okay in my mind. And if you got the money, throw it around.
Well, Dan Wetzel used to be with Yahoo. He's joined ESPN now. He had a theme going for a long time here in the last 2 or 3 years when it comes to conference realignment and this stuff. Like you guys brought up the Utah BYU bickering over, arguing over conferer's pride. I'm in this conference. You thought you were getting in, but we got in, blah, blah, blah. And we're switching conferences, and we're better than you because we're switching. He said, we've literally trained our fans, and he's talking about all of college football. We've trained our fans to cheer for money. Look at our TV contract. We went 4-8 last year, but look at our TV contract. And he said we've literally done that. And what you've just described is a chance for fans to cheer for money, and yet all of a sudden they don't want to cheer for money. They don't want to. I know enough. Let me tell you who is not defensive about how much money they spend for their roster. The New York Yankees, Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah, when somebody said, "You guys, you Dodgers, you spent your way," and they say, "Yeah, no kidding." And we go out to the ballpark and we enjoy watching Ohtani strike people out and hit the ball over the fence. Yeah. So you might as well embrace it because it's not going back. And Texas Tech is an interesting case because their guy has taken it a step farther than what the mega boosters of old used to do, the Boone Pickens, the Phil Knights, those crowds. Campbell is giving Tech a lot of money, and then he's also said, oh, by the way, put me on the Regents. I want to be on the Board of Regents and be the chair. Oh, yeah. I want to get appointed by Donald Trump to be the advisor for whatever he's advising. I forgot the title. But, oh, yeah, I want to mount this campaign to overturn the federal law that regulates television. And so he's not just manipulating Texas Tech football. He's involved in the whole thing. And it's fascinating to me how this guy, who's just a Texas oil man, there's been a million stories of guys who struck it rich in the Texas oil patch. And this guy said, well, my passion is going to be, 1, Texas Tech football, and 2, college football in general.
Right.
And we're going to change things. And he's an interesting character. I see him all the time. Did you by chance talk to him at Big 12 Media Days?
No.
He's making the rounds in Arlington or in Frisco.
Was he?
Anybody? Go up and talk to him all you want.
I'll have to look to that for next year then.
Yeah, and he's on all these shows doing commercials, for crying out loud. Most guys that give a lot of money, they try to keep a low profile. Not him.
So he's the Jerry Jones of the Big 12.
And you know what? There's something that's not a dissimilar comparison. It's not.
He wrote an op-ed to USA Today this week on the TV spiel that you were talking about.
Yeah. He wants the 4 conferences, and I think maybe just the powers, to go together and distribute, market their package all together like the NFL does.
Right.
Which I guess he would need some help with federal law on that. He's also going to need some help from Greg Sankey. Yeah. Because I'm not sure the SEC commissioner is interested in any kind of financial alliance with the Big 12.
Right. It's like Notre Dame. We don't have to go to your conference because we can make more money. So until you bring us more money, we're going to keep the money and forget you.
There's federal intervention. It'll be for 2 leagues, not for 4. We're not sharing with you guys.
Well, yeah. That's probably true.
I have seen some, through 3 weeks of the college season now, I've seen some totals. The SEC is the only power league with a winning record in head-to-head games with other power leagues. And the ACC is the only league with a losing record. And right now, the Big Ten and the Big 12 are right at 500. SMU's at TCU. That's a chance for the Frogs to beat an ACC school. North Carolina's at UCF, another chance to beat an ACC school. Presumably, finishing with a winning record against other power leagues might make it easier to get a second, maybe a third, but probably just a second bid in the playoff. Do you think that will happen?
I actually don't think that will matter. I think that's way too complicated of thinking for this playoff committee. I don't know if they can comprehend much more than what league are you in? What's your name and what's your record? I don't know that they have a step 3. I think they look at what your name is, what your record is, and what's for lunch. I think that's the steps of their committee meeting.
The third question. That's a strong third question, though. I mean, I get it.
But, for people like us, I think it matters. For the committee, I don't think they really care if SMU or TCU, who wins that game. They didn't care who won the SMU-BYU game. Why should they care who wins the SMU game? Now, the Central Florida game is fascinating because I actually think UCF stinks. I think they're the worst team in the league, with the possible exception of Oklahoma State.
Okay,
Oklahoma
there you go.
State might be worse. But UCF is not any good at all. If they can stay with Carolina or even beat Carolina, I mean, it would be so damning of Bill Belichick. A lot of people think he's going to be a one-and-done type guy. And I like to judge coaches. People like to talk, is this guy going to get fired? Is he on the hot seat? Well, those are pretty shallow debates, I think, is Brent Venables going to get fired? Is Mike Gundy going to get fired? We don't know. There's 1,000 factors go into that. Here's what I like to debate. If you had to do it all over again, would you hire him? It's like the old commercial. It was a diamond commercial from years ago. Said, give her the diamond that says you'd marry her all over again.
Yeah.
Well, would some of these coaches hire – would some of these schools hire their coaches if they had it to do over again? And number 1 on the list, I think, of no way is North Carolina. I think they're saying, what have we got ourselves into? I mean, this is nonsense. And we're not any good. So, I think UCF, that'll be a fascinating game. It's going on straight up against my game. But I'll be watching the ticker pretty closely on that one. That'd be cool for the Big 12 if UCF could win that game. That would be pretty good.
How was the Monterey Peninsula?
Oh, it was fantastic. I enjoyed it. It's 2 things. One, even when you're not in San Francisco or L.A. or Greater L.A. or the Bay Area, you forget how many people are in California.
Yeah.
It's like we left Carmel like 2 straight days. We were in Carmel or near Carmel and going back up to Salinas. Like at 3:30 in the afternoon, and we had bumper-to-bumper traffic to get out. And I thought, what the heck's going on? I mean, what's going on here? But it wasn't too bad. So the traffic was a little hairy, but we enjoyed it. It was great. I actually enjoyed Monterey more than Carmel. Seemed more authentic. Lifestyles of the rich and famous are not really my deal, and that's sort of what you get in Carmel. But Monterey, you got Cannery Row and John Steinbeck. I actually had never read Tortilla Flat. I've read a few Steinbeck books, but never Tortilla Flat. I like to read a book, a novel, set in the city that I'm visiting while I'm there. So I read Tortilla Flat while I was in the Monterey Peninsula, and it was great because every place he mentioned, hey, yeah, I know where that is.
Uh-huh.
So we had a great time. We drove down to the Hearst Mansion.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
Okay, now there's lifestyles of the rich and famous.
That was Kooksville. Anytime you're in the Western Hemisphere and you're not at a zoo, and somebody says, "Now here are our zebras," go over there. You can see the zebras over there. You know that life for some people has gotten warped. But it was great. Big Sur was my favorite. Just driving up and down the coast of California. You know the uninhabited part, which is what most of Big Sur is.
It is.
So yeah, we thought it was great. We had a great time, and then Saturday, I took a vacation from my vacation and just holed up and watched football all day. And my wife was gracious enough to just sort of go along with it. So we had a good time catching all the games and then enjoying California. So it was great. It was great.
Well, Barry, we appreciate the time as always. Glad you enjoyed the trip. I don't know, is it better to look at the ocean or to smell the ocean air? The smell of salt water is awesome.
You know what? It depends on your view. Because the dang Hearst Mansion, or is that what they call it? No, Hearst Castle. Keep calling it. It's a mansion. It's not a castle, but they call it the Hearst Castle. Anyway, my wife kept raving about it and said, "Look at the view." I said, "We're 5 miles up in the air on top of this mountain, 5 miles from the ocean. It's not that great of a view. Just because it's the ocean doesn't make it a great view. So put me in a condo right on the beach." And I think it's a pretty good view. But if I'm on top, the mountain, I just soon smell the ocean as see it. So the smell at Cannery Row is not as good as the smell of the ocean. I will say that.
I get that. All right, Barry, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week.
See you guys.
There is Barry Tramel. Join Hans and Scotty G today from noon to 3 at RGS Exteriors, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan next. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Join Jake and Ben Tuesday from 10 to noon at Belliston Jewelry at 1155 36th Street in Ogden. Belliston Jewelry, made just for you, cherished for generations. Mark Harlan, Utah Athletic Director, joined us late in yesterday's show with a bunch of advice on how to enjoy the Utah-Texas Tech game, even if you don't have tickets, if you want to be part of the broadcast, the pregame show leading up to it that'll, go out to the country with Fox's Big Noon. And then he also talked about things the Big 12's working on for more exposure, for more TV games. What about playing overseas? Would the Utes want to be involved in that? And if so, how often? A lot of ground to cover. The new baseball stadium. How much money does Alex Jensen get for basketball? A lot of topics with Mark Harlan. You listen to the interview right here, right now on 97.5 The Zone. Everything's all buttoned up for Texas Tech. You have time to talk to us. Everything's in place.
We are perfectly not ready to go. I can assure you we're glad it's Thursday. Still got to put a few screws in that stage out there for Fox, but we are fired up and really looking forward to everything.
What are all the activities that fans can participate and be a part of?
Well, good morning, PK. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mr. Harlan.
I love it. We got to talk about this ASU London thing. I'm just reading that right now.
Oh, we're going to. It's on our list. We're ready.
About this now. But anyway, hey, look, this is a village, right? I mean, so much stuff's going on. We were lucky to be notified a week ago that they would bring the show. Certainly they announced the 10 a.m. kickoff on Big Fox, and they asked us to wait. So we had a little time, and what we really thought, first of all, you got to get your students there, you got to get them up and moving, and so a ton of giveaways. And then I thought for the game day show a couple years ago, the public was so big and joining our students in that, so we're going to have a lot of free food, just free stuff, man. I mean, it's marketing 101. Get down here early. See Urban, see the whole crew, have some fun. I mean, it's a big celebration of Utah football, but college football in general. And I love the fact that they'll break it about 45 minutes before kickoff. We got a stage set up in there for them, so everyone can get into the stadium early, watch the show, watch warm up, and just be ready to just be a part of a great college football game bright and early in Rice-Eccles Stadium.
And then where's the main portion going to be literally on the campus?
Yeah, the whole show is going to be right there next to the Eccles Tennis Center, right there to the immediate north. They love that spot, right, because it's that big grass field there. We close down Guardsman. People can overflow into that area. Our tailgaters, who, of course, are allowed in the night before, can just kind of, I'm not going to say stumble at all. They can walk over, they can check it out and be a part of it. And they just love the energy of that area. They got the mountains right there. So perfect spot for everybody to flood in that area and then head into the game.
Okay, now let's talk about London. I'm curious for a league that, if you're not the Big Ten or the SEC, they're getting a lot of the prime TV spots here. And that was a lot of exposure for the league to play in Ireland and to have two teams there and have a good game. So now you got two more teams looking at London. What degree does Utah have in playing in an international venue? And Canada is international. I mean, people can go wherever. You could go to Vancouver and stage a game. I mean, you can go wherever. You can go to Hawaii. You just have to get off the continental U.S., and the rule is there. So do you have any interest in doing that yourself?
Well, first of all, on the ASU thing with Kansas, I knew that they were, talking about stuff, but that stuff gets pretty quiet. I think when you go through this, just like we did recently with the game that we're playing Miami in Vegas in a couple years, in one of those big kickoff games, you got to look at the whole picture, right? You got to look at someone's giving up a home game. We're trying to become a 7 home game season. It's harder than you think, but that's what we're trying to do. So you got to go through that. Like, for instance, Kansas State gave up a home game this year to play Iowa State. Now, they're compensated for it and all of that, but we got a real special thing with a sold-out stadium. So you got to think through all that stuff. Do I think doing that once a decade would be pretty cool? Absolutely. We've told the commissioner that we're willing to have a conversation about it, but it's got to fit in at the right time and the right place and all those kind of things. But I love the fact that the conference is doing this. Brett, I don't think he sleeps, right? He's got all these relationships all over the world. And, I know that Kansas State, Iowa State got a big number, and a lot of their fans went and had a great time. So it's something certainly we're interested in, but I think with that Miami game coming up, we're probably more interested in down the line.
Yeah, that's understood. That Miami thing is something that we're all looking forward to. And the way I look at the U of U, they're used to traveling on foreign soil because when they're in the Pac-12, they had to go to Tucson every other year, and everybody knows. I mean,
I was just going to take a shot and say I can see why ASU would give up a home game, right? I get it, but that would be probably something.
Right, because they want to make it fair. They want to make it level to give everybody a chance to win and have the opportunity to compete, at the highest level like we do. But nevertheless.
I mean, a day game in Tempe in September. I mean, let's go to Ireland, baby.
Yeah, give that one up. There's actually, I don't really have an opinion when you guys take all your shots at each other, but giving up 109 degrees, yes, absolutely.
I had a friend of mine. His grandson was playing soccer in the Valley over last weekend because his son lives there. And he texts back, "Yeah, I'm standing out here and it's 100 degrees." I texted back, "Well, at least it's not hot."
Exactly. I remember when I lived out there, 100 wasn't so bad. But the problem is Phoenix, it never cooled off.
Never.
Tucson, it's beautiful at nighttime.
Yeah, as long as you stay indoors. But that's another story.
Hello.
How did that Miami game come about? And do you see yourself being interested in that more often?
Yeah, that's just, when you're in those Rose Bowls and the kind of program that Kyle's built, you're going to get calls about that. That one took a bunch of different forms. First was the Peach Bowl, checking in if the two teams wanted to play. That for their preseason game, we were heading down that track, and then the negotiations didn't work out. And then our friends in Vegas, the people that do all the things there that were so, we know well from our Pac-12 days. And then Dan, the AD at Miami, thought it would be fun. Mario, to his credit, both coaches got to be in on it. And Mario and Whit, of course, have a long history of competing each other. So, yeah, it came together great. They're really excited to play out on this side of the world for us. We know how great that stadium looks when our fans fill it up. So it just made a lot of sense. And we still didn't forego we obviously can never get below 6 games. So we were able to keep the home game number where we're at and play a really good opponent.
Raised a few eyebrows that the Utes only have 4 players on the first injury report. Is this an extraordinarily healthy team? Is there going to be any pushback from Texas Tech or future opponents? Tech's listed 14. What is the appropriate number?
Well, first of all, we take that stuff very seriously, and we're going to follow all the rules. I love the way Kyle's doing it. I mean, it's being completely handled by our medical team. We actually have kept a running list on that from the medical side for a long time. All week during practice, we keep a list, and for the coaches to know who's going to be at practice. It's kind of like in the 8th inning, you don't talk about a no-hitter. We're not going to talk about too much about our health, except to say we've made a lot of changes in the way we practice. We made a lot of changes in the things we did in the off season, and our luck has just been better to this point. So we're fired up and ready to go. But that list that you're referring to is made completely by the medical teams, and then there's another one tonight, and another one tomorrow, I think, and another one right before the game. So it can be altered as we go through practice during the week.
I think it was a year ago or so, maybe longer, that there was an announcement about a potential new Huntsman Center. Do you remember that? I'm sure you do. What's the status of that? Yeah,
just chipping away. We've got companies working on it, trying to figure out the best spot for it, what it needs to look like, what's the right – not the easiest part is saying what's the amount of seats you need, but really where does it fit into the overall campus structure. The president's got some big, audacious, awesome plans for this university, College Town Magic, which is right on the main university website, and it just shows the vision. So we want to make sure that we put it in the right spot. We're zeroing in on that, and I think we owe probably the community and certainly our trustees coming up here in some sort of what the next steps will be. But we've been underway in a pretty intensive strategic planning study process for it, because it's a big project, right? We got to nail it right. We want another arena as awesome as this one's been. And then we also have to weigh everything else we're dealing with in athletics and all the changes that are coming. And we also have to keep an eye on Rice Eccles too. So we have to put all that together and really make some big decisions ahead on how we want all our venues to be moving forward.
I know there's some people who there's a Fort Douglas site apparently that some people like, and I know some people have mentioned that they'd really like it next to the football stadium. But there are people who say if you build a football stadium, the easiest thing to do is build it in the parking lot next door and then tear the old one down and just flip-flop the footprint. So is this the kind of stuff you're weighing, and what do you value at this point?
Yeah, exactly. We're weighing locations and all the pros and cons of that. You mentioned the awesome work that the university did by after many years having Fort Douglas come into our area. Now there's challenges in Fort Douglas too, because a lot of that is historic. So you got to be really knowledgeable about where to put everything up there. Where is the future dorms going to be? I really want students to be able to, like they can now, to really come into the arena easily. So it's always one big jigsaw puzzle on this campus and any campus I've been, because it's not just an arena. There's all these different things around it, infrastructure, restaurants, all the things that we're looking forward to in the future here. And so that's what we're working on collaboratively with the university.
One of the things that looks like it's set is that new baseball stadium. I know you're a baseball guy. I'm a baseball guy. I'm excited for that. We drive by it all the time when we're up there, and you can see the progression of it, and it's getting closer and closer. And obviously the season will kick off when we get to that point in the spring with the home games. But give us an update, not just on the stadium, but what it actually will mean for the program.
Yeah, it's been an awesome project, one of the funnest projects I've been around in my career. First of all, the people stepping up, America First Credit Union, Charlie Moffett, and so many others just stepping up and seeing the vision. And the vision really has been for some time to have our team return to campus. I mean, we've enjoyed playing at Smith's. We've recruited to that. It's the best AAA ballpark in the country. But obviously with the planning process and what they're going to do there, it just allowed us to kind of get some momentum. And we've been eyeballing that site, on Guardsman for some time. Same thing, went through feasibility at other spots, landed on there, and it's just been a great project. Had a big media tour yesterday. Got a lot of folks going out there taking pictures, and the comments were, the reviews, how incredible they are, the field, the kind of turf we put in. And, it'll be just under 3,000 seats. A lot of those seats will come in the berm in terms of getting us to 3. The rest of the seats are, all chair back right on top of the action. And it's going to be just awesome for our guys to be in that environment. The other piece of it is it's finally to have all their workout area in one place. Great indoor facility to have multiple hitting bays, pitching bays, all of that, locker room, lounge, coaches' offices will be out there. So they'll finally have a home like we have in most all our other sports. So very excited for the program, and can't wait. It'll be ready to roll. The guys are practicing already, but it'll be ready to roll and open for those first games in February, beginning of March. It'll be awesome. Can't wait to have you guys out.
Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan joining us. NIL looms over everything, over every team, over every program. We read all these stories, man. There's some places where it seems to be really accelerating. You're playing Texas Tech. Obviously, there have been a lot of stories written about all the oil money they have and helping their softball program and their football program. How do you feel you stack up competitively, and how much pressure is there no matter how good it is today? What is the challenge going to look like in a year or two or three?
Yeah, they've done a nice job, right, with roster additions. Got young men on the football team from all over the country. Good coach, really like him, gotten to know him a little bit over the last few years. Athletic director's a really good buddy, and so they've done a really good job. As I've said before, the thing that is different now is we are in the settlement. So we're kind of in this last year of the old wild west, where we're all capped now at $21 million of what we can do rev share for. But we also know, since it didn't start till July 1, that teams could really front load their programs and within a legal structure. So they've got what they've got. We front loaded as well as every other team did, and then you combine that with revenue share. So we've doubled plus our output for football this year, but their numbers been reported all over, and good for them. I mean, I'm going to get a chance to sit with Cody before the game, former player there, self-made oil man, and really into the business right now. I really want to talk to him about some things. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm excited about where we're at. We're all in on revenue share. This time next year, everyone will pretty much be between 14 and 16 million for football, and then the rest going all over the place in the department. Hopefully we'll settle in on all of that. But I'm real proud of the work with staff, our whole revenue generation team, our group that puts all the contracts together, negotiates with agents. We were able to retain 2 first-rounders, most likely. Got ourselves an incredible quarterback, obviously, and I think you're seeing some of that work pay off. And certainly these students have come together, and they're off to a great start.
How much does the men's basketball program need money-wise in order to be competitive?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing, because going back to what I said, the front loading for basketball was pretty intense. And so what I mentioned about football, when you're talking about the rev share number where we're all capped, I mean, if you break that cap, there's significant penalties. I mean, this is from a federal court that set this up. So, we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit like what we just talked about in football. There'll be some front-loaded teams. Certainly our team has, for Alex, the front load that we were able to do combined with the revenue will also be a lot more than the basketball team has had in the past. And, I think what's so important is how strategic you are, whatever your amount, right? And I think him bringing in a general manager who, former NBA general manager, and watching those guys work. One of my favorite things is going into Alex's office, and they're always drawing on the board and looking at all this data. And Wes Wilcox, you guys got to get on the show. He's awesome. I mean, he's got like 3 phones and agents are calling him. I mean, it's a whole different day, but watching how strategic they are and how they set up these contracts, right, has been awesome to see. And it's the same stuff that football has learned through these last few years. And I think what we're seeing right now is it's all kind of coming together in a really productive way, which I think is going to really help our teams.
I've heard from multiple Ute fans about the problem with the transfer is they don't really know the guys. And part of that is it's a different era. And you're not going to have a bunch of local guys like when Alex played. There were so many guys who got into high school here, and people really felt like they knew their stories. So how do you bridge that gap, or do you even try?
Well, you got to try because I think it's really important, and I think you hit on something that, as we look at all the different, changes that everyone's going through, we like to talk about our coaches and our students and certainly administration, but let's talk about our fans. I mean, I think the stat I saw, there was 2.3 returning men's basketball players on rosters this year, and so it's a college basketball thing. We had 50 plus new football players, but there is something about basketball. People get to know them, right? They don't have the helmets on, and they're on TV all the time, and so we've tried to be really intentional this year to put out a lot of videos on our guys. We've had them appear wherever we can. Certainly at the fan event, they got there early, stayed late. And Alex is going to be as open as he can to have, people come into practices and see things. And then we just roll. I mean, that's just the nature of what it is right now. And I think what I've seen the last few years with the turnover is, you get into January and people start, to get to know them. But, when Gabe wrapped it up here, Gabe Madsen wrapped it up, I remember looking at him and, he set the 3-point record. And I thought, man, is that the last one that'll be here for 4 years? I mean, I seriously thought about that, right? Is that's what it's going to be. But, listen, we're in multi-year contracts now, and we're doing all the things that we can do to try to keep these guys here. But the most important thing still is for them to have a great experience. And I know that that's what Alex, Wes, and that whole staff is going to do.
Is the Ring of Honor going to be an annual thing now?
Yeah, that's the plan. And, I think what we saw from the reaction of the fans, both that were in the stadium and elsewhere, and also the reaction of the two incredible men that went in. I mean, it's a special thing. It'll become a tradition. We're just getting started on it, and there's so many greats, so we certainly have some very eligible people as we move forward. But you bet, there's some incredible youth football players that rose to the very top. And just like we see, in Huntsman, where we celebrate them, we want to do the same for some football players as well.
What would a home playoff game mean to the athletic department if football's good enough to get that?
Well, I mean, I'll ask you guys that. I mean, I think of the incredible games that have been here in my now 8 years here, and, I can think of some that pop. But it's hard for me to imagine what the energy would be for a home football game here in the playoffs and everything it would mean. Getting in the playoffs would be incredible, and it's certainly a goal. But to host, to have our fans with us, and that incredible experience would be something I think we'd all could dream about. And we certainly know that, notwithstanding the last 2 years, we would have been in the playoff. I think 4 of the 5 before that, or something, in the 12 teams. So we know we'll be ready if we're fortunate to have the opportunity.
Keeping on line with football as we pepper you with a bunch of questions here, and appreciate your time taking the time to answer them. You've got the Morgan Scally thing as a coach in waiting, but it's been coach in waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm wondering how to negotiate if he would be, not literally negotiate, but just navigate is probably the better word, if he receives interest from other programs as Kyle continues to go.
Well, listen, those two guys have known each other for decades, and they have an incredible relationship, and they communicate and they talk, and I think that's really where the natural part of this whole process goes. I would hope Morgan gets calls. I mean, he's elite, and he certainly has gotten calls, and time again, he runs out of the tunnel in the first game of the year as our defensive coordinator. So I love the fact that our plan is public. I love our fact that when people want to talk about it in recruiting, it's easy to point. That's the guy. I think it's been a real advantage for us in the crazy, unstable world that college football is, that we've got a plan, and it's a plan that people recognize. The timing of it is the timing of it, and it's always been that way. There was no, hey, Morgan, you're going to take over on this day at this hour. There's never been anything to that. And Whit has been clear when he's ready. He'll let me know, and we'll have a pretty quick press conference. We're not running out searching for anybody because we know we have the very best of the best ready to go when the time is right.
Realignment is never that far away. What is the real timeline? When will it never really goes away, but when would serious conversations happen? When will people talk about TV contracts in a serious way that triggers realignment? When will that really go to the front burner?
Well, if you look at that stuff historically, it's always within like 24 months of the television contracts. That's how it's been in the typical pattern of college athletics, but I don't know if anything is much typical anymore. But if we went on that route, then you'd probably start talking in a couple of years. There could be some conversations amongst different people about different things. But then look no further to this summer when, we had a school in the South that came forward with, to our conference and was like, hey, we've got this and this and this, and we're gonna offer you all these treasures and monetary values, and we want to come in as soon as possible, right? So that's interesting. Is that the new process? I think it started when there were some movements at different levels. I mean, unless I missed something, I don't think SMU is getting anything out of the television deal in the ACC, and we certainly know some of our former partners in the Pac-12 are either getting half shares or quarter shares, right? So everything is kind of different now, but I like to think in our case, and I really learned this during the last time we went through this stuff, is you just got to be good. You got to be good at what you do. You got to have sold-out stadiums. And football obviously is the big thing that everybody looks at, and you got to be good there. You got to have a great university, which of course we do, a growing university, and you just do it, and you just see what happens. I mean, we've really in year 2 settled into the Big 12. I think I've been pretty candid that last year, for our teams, for our coaches, for everyone, it just felt different. We thought we were completely prepared, but we weren't, right? I had a long talk with Tom Holmoe about that. When I say we weren't, it's difficult for young people and coaches to go to all these new places. Well, that's over now, right? This is year 2, and we're really excited about being here. We think we have a really good chance to get after this league, and all our work and all our effort is pointing toward trying to get as many championships as we can. And I think we're going to start seeing that because I see the work that's being put in. So we're focused on the Big 12. We'll see what happens. If it's like the last time, I suppose it'll start getting noisy in about 24 to 36 months.
Do you hear from fans as far as traveling for football? I've been to all the places in the Pac-12 with the Utes, and they travel really well. Back in the day when I was working for the Tribune and covering Majerus, they traveled really well in basketball. I'm just wondering if there has been responses as far as, like a West Virginia or whatever it might be. Those are long trips. What has been the response?
Well, I think it's been not unlike what we've experienced as a program. In other words, our fans got into a pattern of going to cities and knowing that in 2 years we'd be back there, and now it's different, right? And now it's not, we're in a 4-year scheduling pattern where we might not see somebody for a couple of years. But let me give you an example when I'm feeling changes. Like West Virginia, next week's game, we've got a tremendous amount of fans going to that game. We also have a tremendous alumni base in the New York area, the Pittsburgh area, and also in the D.C. area, which is a 3-hour drive. I mean, the alumni group did a whole survey and found out that's one of the best places for us to do a big tailgate, and we are. So that'll be awesome, right, to go to someplace new. So I think our fans are adapting to all of it. They certainly miss different cities. I mean, when Jeff Rudy, who did our schedule, he thought, hey, Mark, what if we could get something with an L.A. school? And that's how the UCLA series came, and people love that. So We'll try to go back there on some non-conference things when we can. But I think our fans are understanding there's a lot of great places here. Some might be harder to get to, but it's fun to go to stadiums that are really filled wherever we go. Our guys love playing in that. And it's the same thing with our Olympic sports. I mean, a lot of these places where they went last year were packed. And, that's what they work for. I mean, I don't know if the public understands, but our athletes love playing in front of their home crowd. They also love playing in front of hostile crowds. I mean, that's fun stuff. So, I don't know. I think it's been a really good year for us to learn last year, and I think now we're ready to get after it and really attack this conference for everything. It's given us. It was a great landing spot for us, and now we really feel like we're a part of it.
Commissioner Brett Yormark has said, everything's on the table. He'll try new stuff. He'll do different things. I thought it was clear a couple of years ago that Friday night was open for college football, and it has been on ESPN and FS1 for a long time. But Fox putting the Big Ten over the air, and nobody's really watching primetime TV in any real numbers anymore. Sports is where it's at. Has the Big 12 looked at like trying to do something with either Fox or another network as they trade product and sell it back and forth and get over the air and get even more exposure on Friday night?
Well, I can tell you this. Brett doesn't sleep when it comes to a lot of things, but this one he never sleeps. I think we do have a really good advantage in that we're partners with both Fox and with ESPN. We're the only Power 4 that has that relationship. And not only that, we brought in TNT, which I understand has been great in terms of their broadcasting, the studio show. They want to do a lot of stuff. We met with their senior executives. We're seeing NBC come into the fold. I mean, we've got a lot of different partners, and that allows for more flexibility. I can't specifically speak for Friday. I mean, I think Brett's looking at everything. I know this. we talk about windows all the time. I'll give you an example. I brought up in a meeting. I'm like, that Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, people are looking for football, and there's nothing really on.
Yeah.
And Brett's like, I already thought of that, Harlan. I'm like, well, okay, take it, run with it. And then there's, okay, what happens if you can't play on Wednesday, you play Saturday, so you got to have 2 buys or whatever the heck it is. But, we're looking at everything because I think that's what you got to do. And getting back to our football program and all the work they've done, to be on this window on Saturday is a big deal. It averages $6 million per telecast. We're excited to be a part of it. I know Texas Tech is. When the lights go on 7 a.m. for the Barstool guys and Dave Portnoy, and then it switches over to 8 to the Big Fox show. I mean, think about the coverage we're going to get as an institution, as an athletic department, as a football program. Let's just say from 7 a.m. all the way to the end of the game. And that's priceless stuff. They've been here all week, shooting up in the mountains, doing features on our guys. It's going to be awesome. And Big 12 is going to see a lot of more support from Fox going forward. It's just a great partnership.
Well, I think day football games in Rice-Eccles, spectacular, especially this time of year. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah, it should be fun. And I know it's early. I want to be very empathetic to that. I know that, some would prefer later, although I've had a lot of people come up and say, hey, God, it's great it's not late. They were all thinking this was going to be one of those 8:30s. And I say, well, those are coming, but it's not coming this week, right?
Right.
Just get up early, come out, have a great time, get some nap time later in the day, right? And just celebrate college football. There's a lot going on in the world, man, but come out and celebrate what is college football. And our fans help us win in that stadium. I have seen it time and time again. We're going to need them on Saturday. It's a great opponent. Come out and help us win and have a great day.
Up with the sun at Guardsman, right?
That's right, or even before. There'll be lots of stuff to come out and see for kids and everybody in between. So come on out and have a great time.
You mentioned Portnoy. If you're not hooking him up with at least 5 or 10 different kinds of pizza, you're missing the boat here. He can't announce that Utah's got terrible pizza. He's only got to take one bite of one pizza he likes. If you don't load him up, you're missing the boat.
He's pretty fired up. I know he put that out to get everyone going, but he's never been to Utah. And, he hasn't brought his show every time to this. And, he's pretty excited to come out and do that. I've seen a lot of people text or tweeting him pie, so I imagine there'll be an appearance in there, but I can't say for sure. But I imagine he'll pop over there at some point.
All right. Mark, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. See you Saturday.
There's Mark Harlan. When we come back, all the headlines. What is trending on the way?
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NFL.
Here's the snap. 4-man rush. Back to pass. Looking left. And stretching and reaching for it is Kincaid. And he stumbles into the end zone for the touchdown. Fakes the snap. Allen going to roll left. Looking for someone in the end zone. And now Shovel passes it. Complete to Jackson Hawes for his first career touchdown from 5 yards out. Here's the snap. Back to pass. Fires. It's intercepted. Picked off by Terrell Bernard. Coming the other way and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Terrell Bernard, Mr. Fourth Quarter, comes up huge. He read Tua like a book.
The Buffalo Bills beat the Miami Dolphins 31-21, PK, and we'll have Pablo on here, Pablo Mastroeni, and he'll talk about sports and a game of moments. And Miami battled for most of 3 hours there, and it was even, tied at 7-14-21. But that last interception right there, a killer. The Bills had gone down, taking the lead. Miami was driving, had a chance to match him. Maybe it's headed to overtime. Anybody can win. You throw a pick, and then the Bills did an expert job of just killing the clock, getting down into field goal position, kicking a field goal, and up by 10 with less than a minute to go, and that was the game.
And maybe they score a touchdown, and the Bills do that and win the game anyway.
Possibly, yes.
No one play is a killer. They're all as the same equal importance.
Bills improved to 3-0. Josh Allen, 213 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. And the Bills keep it going and presumably will next week against the Saints.
Oh, most definitely. They're unstoppable.
Big games this week. Who do you have your eyes on? Rams and Eagles? Looks pretty big over there in the NFC.
Rams and Eagles, huh? Sure. I'm still waiting for some teams to, I don't want to say develop.
Emerge, maybe?
Show what they are, who they are, what they'll be the rest of the season. Because it's still too early to make some type of pronouncements on teams we're not sure of. There are some teams we are sure of. You just spoke of the Bills, obviously. We're very sure of them. We expect them to be in the postseason. But some 2-0 teams, are they really that good? Not sure yet. Some 0-2 teams, obviously Kansas City topping the list. Would you really be that bad? Don't want to go there yet?
Are they the only 0-2 team you have a doubt about? I'm looking here at the list of the rest of the 0-2 teams. And Houston's 0-2. That's surprising, I would say. After Kansas City, maybe they're the next one.
Yeah, there's still time for them.
Giants, Bears, Saints, and Panthers. I don't think we thought any of them were going to do anything.
Giants, Bears, Saints, Panthers. Okay, yeah, I would agree.
Obviously, we expect more of the Chiefs. Titans 0-2, Texans 0-2, Browns 0-2, Jets 0-2, and now the Dolphins 0-3. I would probably say Kansas City is the biggest surprise, then Houston, and then Miami. Miami's been at least mediocre.
Don't you remember all these teams were going to lose for the right to get Arch Manning?
Yeah.
That's already changed.
New plan. The 2-0 teams, you're not buying the Bengals or Colts yet? See if they're for real?
Well, the Bengals now with the injury, what's
you gotta
happen because of what can Jake Browning do? Is he a success story just waiting to emerge who's just been sitting behind Joe Burrow all this time? I don't know. I think they can be decent. He's been in the league now a number of years, hasn't had a lot of playing time, but seems like, gosh, he was at Washington 10 years ago when he was playing. I'm speaking of the Huskies, of course. So I've got to see there. And then who else did you say?
The 2-0 teams, Bengals, Colts.
The Colts, maybe Jones needed to get out of New York or New Jersey, and then he's a veteran too. We've seen veterans bounce around. It wouldn't certainly be the first time that this has happened if there's success there.
Over in the NFC, Buccaneers, Niners, Cardinals, and Rams. Who's for real?
People talked up the Cardinals, and I didn't buy it, but, they haven't beaten two good teams by any stretch. Maybe they are primed. Maybe they do have it more together and made some good acquisitions in the offseason. That's what I'm saying. It's just simply too early to be making judgments on most of these teams.
Cardinals have the Niners and Seahawks the next 2 weeks. They got a couple division games to show where they stack up with some of those teams and win them both 4-0. With 2 division wins at that point, you got to start taking them seriously.
If they only win one, then they'd be 3-1. If they lost both, they'd be 2-2.
Thank you.
I'm glad you cleared that up. If they had won both, they'd be 4-0.
Best teams in the AFC, Bills, Ravens, and Chargers. Best teams in the NFC, Eagles, Packers. Nobody on there.
I'm not willing to put the Chiefs out of the list yet.
Out, not yet.
Not even close.
NFL announced that the Eagles should have been penalized for at least one false start when they used the tush-push brotherly shove against the Chiefs, and that they've instructed officials to call the controversial play tight going forward as a result of that missed call.
Oh, I'm so sick of hearing about this.
49ers quarterback Brock Purdy declared himself day-to-day as he worked back from a turf toe injury. Says his status Sunday is up in the air. I want to play every game. I want to be out there. You only get 17 regular season games, and every game matters.
Nah, I'd like to sit out a couple. Just, increase my longevity for an opportunity to get another contract when I'm 37.
DJ PK.
Hashtag Utah.
Utah and Texas Tech, 10 a.m. How much more can we say about this one, PK? Couple of 3-0 teams, 16th ranked Utes, 17th ranked Red Raiders.
We are less than 27 hours now.
We need a big countdown clock on the video feed for this show. The countdown to kickoff. It'd be dramatic. Utah's offensive line, Texas Tech's defensive line. You're going to be throwing elbows in the press box with all the NFL scouts looking for seats.
Well, I know they're going to be lining up to see what I think.
Over here, guys.
Yeah, so I'll be busy. Busy day.
at least a half dozen future NFL players, maybe more than that. We'll see how it shakes out along the offensive and defensive lines for these two teams.
Yeah,
Watch
mostly,
them butt
but I'm
heads.
more of a quarterback guru, so they'll be talking to me about that.
Okay. DJ and PK.
Hashtag BYU.
BYU off to a 2-0 start, playing the first road game at East Carolina. Last couple times they played the Pirates, they've been beaten, but a lot has changed since then. Obviously, Jay Hill is in, and the freshman Brett Bachmeyer making his first start in a road game. Just say Brett Bear. Only his grandma calls him Brett.
Well, just go Grizzly, and then
Then
that'll lead you to Bear. You won't
Grizzly Bear Bachmeyer makes his
Grizzly
first road
Brett.
start.
Yeah, come on.
Mostly brown bears there in the rolling hills of Western Carolina.
How in the hell do you know that?
I don't. I just made it up. I have no idea. just ad-libbing.
Well, we found out what people who go on the airwaves and tell us false claims.
Okay. East Carolina 2-1. They lost their opener to NC State 24-17.
That got on me. Jeez.
Yeah, that was gross. 5:30 kickoff on ESPN2 for that game.
Or if there's a game before.
And maybe 5:40 or 5:45. Yeah.
I have my food ready to go. Don't tease me.
You don't take the first bite till kickoff?
Right.
Very structured?
Yes. I want to enjoy
As
it.
opposed to me just grazing throughout the day, putting on a few more pounds.
Not
Zach.
food pregame. That doesn't work.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah State.
Utah State and McNeese, the money game. The Aggies chance to get to 3-1 here, a third of the way through the season. An excellent opportunity to get to 3-1. Scotty G's got the call on the zone. Start at 5 o'clock. Kickoff at 6 on KMYU and streaming on the Mountain West Network.
Yeah, should be a snoozer, a formality, and we'll have to just bear with it for a week and then get back into it. Unless I'm totally shocked.
We would be totally shocked. McNeese just lost to Weber State in a wild 42-41 game.
Right.
Weber State went back there and won. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
So in the first TV window, you got Utah, Texas Tech. In the third one, you got BYU. What will you do with your afternoon, PK? Got a battle of ranked teams, 1:30 on ABC, number 11, Oklahoma, and number 2, Auburn. A little SEC football for you.
I'll be traveling back from Rice-Eccles Stadium.
Well, not for 3.5 hours, but yes, for part of that
That's
time.
traffic. You ever try Foothill?
Yeah, actually. Jake Retzlaff in Tulane.
You try Foothill on an hour or 90 minutes after the football game? I don't think you do.
Yeah, actually.
Not since the stadium's been expanded, you haven't.
Tulane at 13th ranked Ole Miss, 1:30 on ESPN. If you want to watch Jake Retzlaff, they're undefeated. Can they handle Ole Miss? CBS has the Big Ten game, number 21, Michigan playing Nebraska. Are the Huskers back?
Back to what?
Back to being relevant. Good. At least 8-9 win territory, if not, up there with the big dogs.
You know. That's what you said.
Off to a 3-0 start. The only game that was competitive, they squeaked past Cincinnati in their opener, being a Big 12 school. So, conference test for the Huskers now. Locally, Utah Tech's hosting Northern Iowa. Weber State hosts Butler. SUU is at UC Davis. And the ACC, in probably the least shocking news, is closing in on a change to its scheduling format that will require all league teams to play at least 10 games against Power 4 competition. The number of interconference games played, 8 or 9, remains a sticking point, according to some reports. Some ADs are concerned that 9 conference games will hurt them. Strength of schedule might not be good enough.
Who, Kentucky?
I don't know. I don't know which ADs.
Who are they replacing it with? Who did they play before?
Well, that'll vary.
Aren't you
that'll vary
indicting your
school to
own
school.
conference? We suck?
Yes.
They don't even realize they're doing that by saying that.
And there might be other schools in there worried that the 9 conference games will make them end up with the 11 power games also, because you're playing 9 in conference. Every one of those teams has an in-state game to play every year, and then you rotate.
Worried about
and then you rotate through Notre Dame. So people don't like.
Why do you have in your mind go as easy as possible?
Because I just read a story about that's exactly what TCU is doing and dropping SMU.
That has nothing to do with SEC.
And they're playing 11. No, well, this would be the ACC. You're right. It doesn't have anything to do with the SEC. But there, a lot of people in college football are like, hey, I want 2 guaranteed wins.
Then you're not going to get it anyway. You're not going to get what you're. Okay. If that's what your mindset, you're already defeated before you put on your jockstrap.
Go tell TCU.
TCU, you're already defeated before you put on your jockstrap. Yes, I'll tell anybody you want me to tell.
I think it was a Sonny Dykes quote.
Then I'll tell Sonny Dykes that. You're not going to backdoor your way into anything. I'm not going to budge from that, and we'll get to that here in a minute.
DJ PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
This is weird. I have a lot of thank yous to get through, and I can't have time today to do it justice for all the people that have helped me along the way and got me to this point. So today I'm just going to keep it short and sweet, and then be able to really tell people just how grateful I am for everybody that's in this organization, that's in this room, that's been here later on. But I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna retire. We've talked about it a lot. Ellen and I talked about it a lot. Kiddo's talked about it a lot, and I'm at peace with it. I think it's the right time. And it's been such a fun year. I've had such a blast with this group. I've had such a blast with all of you guys. So I can't think of a better season to go out. And we still have a lot to accomplish, obviously, this month. And the last thing I want to do is be a distraction to anybody for accomplishing our ultimate goal, to win in the last game of the season. So we're going to get through this today, and then we're going to go win the rest of the games and be good. But
that is Clayton Kershaw announcing that he'll be retiring at the end of the season. 18-year vet. There's a lot of awards in there, PK. Cy Young's, huge statistical years, World Series championship, broke in with the Dodgers in 2008. He's done it all with one club. And the way pitching has changed, man, how many people going forward are going to have a chance to do what he's done all in one place? Pile up those numbers, because now you're in an era where pitchers are getting pulled after 4 or 5 innings, let alone 6 or 7.
Yeah, he's my all-time favorite Dodger. I've been following this team closely since I was 15 years old. And they had the games on KTAR, 6:20 a.m. in Phoenix. Vin Scully, Ross Porter, Jerry Doggett, and all those people.
So he's moved past Ron Say, the guy you were going to replace at third base, to the very top of the list.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some personal reasons there, and absolutely. So it'll be a loss in my life, but I agree with him. It is time.
18 years in the bigs will make its final regular season start at Dodger Stadium tonight. Dodgers and Giants at 8 o'clock. Giants still trying to get into the playoffs. Can they pull it off?
No, they can't. But I thought you told me a couple days ago that the Padres wanted to play the Mets. You sure about that?
Now, right now, they don't want to play anybody. They don't look capable of beating anybody in the postseason.
They don't want to play anybody?
They don't look capable of beating anybody in the postseason.
Then why would you worry about whether you finish first or second? A couple days ago, you were worried about it. Now you're not worried about it at all.
Now they even lose 2 out of 3 to the Mets, who basically
but you told me that's who they wanted to play.
Yes, I would rather play the Mets than the Cubs, which is what they look like they're on track to do.
But why would you want to? Now you don't want to play anybody. You just want to quit here in.
I do not want to quit, but my faith in their ability to beat anybody is struggling.
Right, but when has that ever changed? Your fandom, you've always tried to protect yourself against losses. That's every team you ever rooted for. That's the way you felt.
Yeah, they've all sucked.
Right. I mean,
no, that's not true.
Your fandom is nothing. It's going to be summed up in woe is me.
Well, there is a lot of that.
Yeah.
Earned
your
justifiably by the results.
They get hurt when your teams lose.
Did. But I have been more excited about other eras of teams. It's been a pretty good era, considering they haven't even been sniffing the postseason for a decade before this run here. but it doesn't look like they have the toughness and the grind. Hey, we need to win. We got to grind one out here.
Why did you tell me they wanted to play the Mets?
Because
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't now. Losing 2 out of 3 to the Mets. They're struggling with these guys, too. Good grief.
Yeah.
Pull it together. And maybe they will in 2 weeks, and they'll get on a roll. It could happen. But it has not been encouraging here lately.
Then why did you tell me they wanted to play the Mets?
Because I wanted to be encouraged. Because I'm not always woe is me like you say.
So I want to play who I think is the least talented team. Go, guys! Bring it in. Family on 3.
I'd also like to see that they can grind it out right now and win the division, and it's something, and it gives me faith that they'll be able to grind it out in October. But instead, it's like they're going sideways except when they're going backwards. They got a losing record since August 23rd. I mean, it's almost over the last month. It's not quite a month of baseball.
No, it's not. I believe that we were like maybe 4 days short.
Yeah.
But then accounting off days, I don't know. Maybe it's even less than that.
9-14. They are not inspiring confidence right now.
Then why didn't you tell me that 3 days ago?
Because I thought they were getting into the swing of it here. Let's go.
So when they were 8-12, you had more confidence?
They weren't 8-12.
Well, you said that was before the Mets series, right?
Yes, going into the Mets.
So a couple losses and 1 less win.
Going into the Mets series, they were actually 7-3 in their last 10, and I thought, okay, they're turning it around. They're pulling it together a little bit.
You're just picking and choosing numbers to your advantage. You always do that.
Well, except that some of the numbers were to my disadvantage. They got hot, they got cold. They got hot, they got cold again.
Well, now it's their turn to get hot.
That could happen.
Things are looking up.
That could happen. And it would be great if it did.
I pray for you.
They're not inspiring faith.
Go Padres.
I saw, you told me a couple weeks ago, they've got the softest schedule down the stretch.
Well, that's what they said.
Well, and it's true, but it was true. And part of that is because they had a week against Colorado, who's really bad, and the Mets, who are bad over the last, 45, 50 games.
It was 7 games against the Rockies that led to it.
Yeah. So they went 5-2 against the Rockies, and now they dropped 2 or 3 to the Mets.
So you should root, instead of playing the Mets in the postseason, root for the Rockies.
And you realize the Rockies were eliminated a couple months ago, but thanks for that nonsensical answer.
They were eliminated about 1993 when they joined.
Hunter Green tossed his first career complete game shutout, a 1-hitter. Reds beat the Cubs 1-0. We don't get to talk about a lot of complete games. One pitcher going the distance in a shutout. We'll see teams get shut out, but there's usually 3 or 4 pitchers out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he was a high pick. He might have even been number 1. So they've been expecting great things out of him.
The Reds are 1 game over 500 right now, chasing a wild card, which is the Mets. The Reds are 2 games back of the Mets, and so are the Diamondbacks. Giants are 3 back right now.
Can't wait to find out the standings Monday morning.
Cleveland on fire. You buying them? 3-1 over the Tigers.
Sale? They're a great organization. They were talking about that on Baseball Network just last night.
They've been on fire for a couple weeks here. It wasn't that long ago they were actually down double digits.
Where are they in the standings?
In the race. 3.5 back in Detroit. But they also have a shot at the wild card.
Of course they do.
1.5 games behind the Red Sox for the last wild card.
Yeah. Did the Jazz win? We'll tell you next.
The Bees beat the Aviators 8-4. Game 4 in the series tonight. First pitch, 8 o'clock. Tony Parks is on the call at 7:50. DJ and PK.
RSL.
Real Salt Lake just beaten 4-1 at home by LAFC. They got to turn around and play them Sunday night. You'll hear the game here on the Zone. They'll be without Victor Olatunji, who got the red card. We'll talk to Pablo Mastroeni about this coming up at 9 o'clock. He will join us. Pre-match show will start at 6 Sunday. The game will kick off at 7, a place they've had very little success against a team that just thrashed them. But as they head down the stretch here, they really need to win. Pablo was saying a week ago they need to win 5 of the last 7. So they won 1, they lost 1. You follow that math right now, they need 4 out of 5 down the stretch, according to that plan.
Yep.
DJ and PK.
#NHL.
Utah Mammoth will play a pair of split squad games against the Colorado Avalanche Sunday in their first preseason action. Puck drops on Game 1 at 2:30. Game 2 is at 6:30, and you're going to hear both games on the Zone. Getting a lot of people some ice time. little split squad. You're familiar with this. Baseball, growing up in Arizona. They do this in March.
Does Mike call both games?
I believe he does, but I don't know.
He will
that.
be, yes.
Yeah.
And they actually have to move arenas between the two. So,
Yeah.
Which arenas are they moving from and to?
they're playing at the Denver University Arena for the first one, then at Ball Arena where the Avalanche typically play for the nightcap. He's got to take an Uber between the two. I was talking to him earlier this week.
What is Trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up 8:45, Chris the Bear Fallica, Fox Sports sportscaster, wagering expert on the Big Noon Kickoff show. He's always got the odds and who's going to win what and who's going to cover what. We'll talk with him coming up at 8:45. Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach, at 9 o'clock. Question of the day is next. Stay with us.
It's game week for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone is getting you ready for kickoff. Bronco Mendenhall and the Aggies are back at Maverick Stadium this week as they welcome in McNeese State. Listen all week long for the best coverage of Aggie football and your chance to win tickets to the game. Then, catch all the play-by-play action beginning with the Aggie pregame show this Saturday at 5 on 1280 The Zone. Your exclusive home for Aggie football is live on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Don't miss your chance to win big every week on The Zone. This week on Win Ticket Wednesday. Win tickets to see Breaking Benjamin in 3 Days Grace live at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on September 27th. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. Listen to The Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. Question of the morning. Ute fans, what are you going to be thinking come Saturday afternoon?
Life is good today.
Ben, it's good to be 4-0.
Well, the best thing about 4-0 is a chance to go 5-0. I hate that expression.
Johnny's dance party. When I feel inspired to give a score 90% of the time, it's very accurate.
Oh, jeez. What's the
So
higher
here we
power?
go. I'm feeling it. And the final score Saturday will be Utah 27.
I was going to guess what he was going to guess.
Oh, go ahead and guess the rest of it.
I was going to say 37. I already came into my mind.
Utah 27, Texas Tech 24.
Oh, I'll take that.
Right
Nice
now.
tight game.
Yeah.
I'll take that anytime.
Competitive game, and the Utes come out of it 4-0 with a chance to be 5-0. You'd be fired up.
Yeah, but I hate that expression.
I know you do.
So I want to punch you. That I would like a nice competitive game right down to the end. Maybe a field goal or something, a drive. I want to see the Utes. Ideally, I think best case scenario for the Utes, what they need to prove, what they need to show to themselves, not to yo-yos like me, is that they can get the ball with the clock winding down and go X amount of yardage, not 10 yards, 50 yards, say, and get into the game-winning position, whatever it might be. Now, if there were a field goal in that situation, the game would obviously be tied, so there'd be a little bit less pressure. Because I don't think that he's, speaking of Devin Dampier, is that we're ever going to see him just light it up through the air game after game. It's not who he is. It's not the way the play calls are going to be, and I'm totally fine with that, right?
It's not who Kyle wants to be the team to be. There's
Well,
a
I mean,
list of things.
he wants him to get in the end zone. I don't think he cares.
But the point is, under pressure, you got to get it done. The defense knows you're going to throw it. It seems like that's the weakest part of the Ute offense. And if they could do that against one of the best teams on their schedule, at least for the 12 games here, who knows what's after that, then the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I mean, can he do it against Ohio State in that last game of the season? I think that's the only question left.
There it is.
So
in mid-January?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So
that's optimistic.
If they show that, then they pretty much answered everything. And I think he can get the ball in scoring position in the end zone through the air. It's just I'm talking about it's not going to be the deep balls, right? That's not the way the offense is.
But if you have a 2-minute
up.
drive against the clock.
Yeah, however you get it in there, it's all that matters. So I think that if we put all the scenarios in a hat where this team is at right now, that would be best case, because then you would just look at everybody else and say, we did that, man. Yeah, we're good to go. We're rolling here. And they would just answer any questions, prove to themselves Joel Klatt would just go berserk. There's 3 things in life that I can count on.
Taxes?
I think he always goes death.
I was just messing up. Death, taxes, and Utah football.
No, death, taxes, and Joel Klatt living up Utah football.
Living
doesn't
up
matter.
Or loving up?
Living up, loving up,
okay.
Lifing up, Rhett's laughing up, whatever you got. Yeah, that's what he's going to do. And with that in mind, I mean, he says that, and you look at the last 4 seasons, and the bottom line for them on losses is 4. And then it goes up. But every year he comes on and says, 3 things I can count on.
Death, taxes, and Utah football.
And they've lost 4, 5, 7. Nobody gets that much love for losing 4, 5, and 7. Nobody in the history of college football has gotten more love than that record, 4, 5, and 7. And then he still says the 3 things I can count on. Nobody ever questions him on it.
20 defeats.
Yeah. Name me another program that's had 20 defeats in the last 4 years, and the number 1 analyst on a network college football, who that's all he does. He's not like Herb Street. Herb Street does NFL, so you got to put him out of the equation. He only does college football, and says the 3 things I can always count on. If that doesn't prove my point that Utah receives the maximum amount of love, then I don't know what does.
33-20. Get the love.
Yeah. 3 things he can always count on.
Even in the big years at 20-8. And those are 2 conference championship teams.
Mm-hmm.
But 20 wins and 8 losses. And you look at most of the big dogs that people want to be compared to. And in that same span, what are they sitting on? 4 losses? Maybe 6?
Yeah.
The other teams, like when Miami or USC or whoever's up and down, whenever they lose 8 games, there's speculation about their coach.
Ooh.
4-loss teams at SC start losing. Now, he didn't lose 4 games each season, so that's part of it. But 2 years in, Lincoln Riley, what's wrong at USC? And he went 11-3 the first year. And then I go 8-5 or 7-6 next year.
I think 7-6.
Yeah. So there's 9 losses.
One of the losses was Tulane.
And there's 0 conference titles in there.
Yeah. And I think what's helped Utah is that they beat SC and Oregon rather than, say, Oregon State and somebody else.
Yeah.
They beat
brand names.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And this year, this year, they've got this opportunity that presents itself to really be way better than what has been already accomplished. Way better. And tomorrow they get an opportunity, basically test 1 to show it.
That is the word Jared used right there. He says, a true test for the season. We've been here before. RES has been hosting ranked opponents for a long time now, and it is time for another one. Yeah. Thank you, Aretha.
Put some respect on that Utah name. RES PECT? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I gave them another marketing tool they could use. Not on. One
Such
after
a
another.
Gift. Such a gift.
Yeah.
Should have shared that when we had Mark Harlan on the air yesterday.
Well, you didn't say RES.
Didn't trigger you.
No, it didn't.
What am I, Stockton? You're Malone? I threw a bounce pass. You dunked it?
Well, I don't refer to it as RES.
No, but when you're typing, people often do. You often see that. We know what they're talking about. Nobody wants to type all that out.
In my mind, I hadn't seen that. But maybe,
really?
Yeah, maybe it's out there. But once you said it, when I have that inspiration, 90% of the time, it's right.
Christopher, I'm going to be thinking about Sunday, the 21st night of September, after another win at home over a top 20 team.
Okay, yeah. All well and good. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go, man. I want to see that. I suppose if they go out there and just dominate 41-10, maybe that's better. But I would, for the development of the team for the next 8 games and 9 games or however many they have beyond that, I think I'd still probably go with them getting out of a close win, because then, too, you're looking to build respect for the conference, right? And Mark Harlan, I know they don't want to be there. She gave them the truth serum. They'd rather be in the Pac-12. They'd rather be in the Big Ten. But here they are right now. And they didn't adjust to it well last year. Well, now they've got the year. That's Mark's words. Okay, I buy all that. And you are in this conference right now, and so you need this conference to do well. And I think that if they were to blow out Texas Tech, that would be good for Utes. It would be ecstatic for the Utes. But then start thinking, then this conference is that good. I mean, come on.
When you said that, waiting for you to come up for there, I was thinking, so if the Utes win big, the 3, 4, 5 TDs, right? They're in control from the start, and they get it done, dominating fashion. Are we going to be in here Monday morning, and is the reaction going to be, how good is Texas Tech really? Because they hadn't beaten anybody.
Right.
Maybe
right.
it was a lot of money.
Right.
And it might still work out for them one day, but maybe they're just not there yet.
Right.
That's a lot of players to add water, stir, and have a good team. On the defensive side of the ball, you get it. Because, there's a scheme and everybody has to move as a group. But, one dominant player on the D-line can wreck a play, right? Even if mistakes are being made behind him. But offensively, to get it all together, it could take some time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen teams that change a couple players, especially if you end up changing a quarterback, but other players as well. And you get better over the course of a season.
Right, but I think that actually, in a weird sense, a big-time blowout could maybe diminish a little bit of how good Utah is. Whereas if it's a grind right to the end, those are 2 big-time teams.
In the short run, quick take, hot take reaction, it's easy to see how that'll happen. In the long run, it gets shown. If Tech regroups and they're 7-1, then it was a great win.
Sure.
And if they're 4-3, it wasn't a great win.
But I just think that if the Big 12 can be slighted, it will be.
I totally agree with that.
And so
people are looking for a reason not to believe. Of the 4 power leagues, there's one league that doesn't have a team in the top 10. Because if they're looking for a reason to doubt,
right,
they'll find it,
right,
and then you don't end up in the top 10.
Right.
And the ACC has there 2, and I think the SEC and Big 10 both have 4 in the top 10.
And then a hard-fought win, I think, would be beneficial. I think if you ask your Mark, that's what he'd prefer. A great game, national television, right down to the end, gripping. Nobody's sleeping in the East Coast. That excuse is out the window. And so you can watch this ball game. And even if you don't care, if you're like me, the majority of the games that I watch that I don't necessarily care, if it's a great game, I'm into it. Like, I couldn't have cared less about Georgia Tech and Clemson last week. But it was a fun game.
It was a fun game, and then there's a long field goal, and we don't really trust college kickers. But maybe it was so long that it's
plus, I knew Georgia Tech was their fans were going to go berserk.
Yeah.
And they did. And nobody was going to die. So we didn't have to hear about storming the field. These are college kids. Let them do it. We don't need everything like the NFL. And so I watched that. I'm flicking around, and then, wait a second here. That game's in the second half, and it's close. I'm locked on it. I couldn't care less who won that game.
DJ PK at 97.5 The Zone. Chris the Bear Fallica, Fox Sports sportscaster, wagering expert on Big Noon Kickoff. Does he think this is going to be a high-scoring game? A low-scoring defensive battle? And they get a little bit of access. They get the kind of access we've been talking about. We've been hearing about Tom Brady, and all the meetings and all that. What does he know? What does he think? What does he expect? That's coming up at 8:45. Pablo Mastroeni, RSL coach at 9. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
It's game week for the Utes, and the KSL Sports Zone is getting you ready for kickoff. The Utes are undefeated at 3-0, but now the season really begins as the Utes open up Big 12 play at home against Texas Tech. Listen all week long for the best coverage of Utah football and your chance to win tickets to the game. Then catch a special early edition of College Football Saturday starting at 8 a.m. with the postgame show immediately following the game on KSLSports.com.
Let's go then. Let's go, baby.
Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is live on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The band of the day, Earth, Wind, and Fire, brought to you by Live Nation. For all the live concert events in 2025, check out livenation.com. It's a Sunday this year, so Yak breaks it out on a Friday. It's an annual tradition.
The 19th, the 21st, what's the difference?
Just a couple of lyrics. We've already had listeners reference it in the social media. Everybody looks forward to it. Who doesn't want to hear Earth, Wind, and Fire?
People who don't like Earth, Wind, and Fire, I guess.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Death, taxes, and Earth, Wind, and Fire.
3 things I can count on. What other things can you count on in football? Is there other things you can count on? Can you say, I can count on this? Like the Buffalo Bills losing in the playoffs? Death, taxes, and the Bills losing in the playoffs. Put that out there, one of your things you do. How do you finish this sentence? In terms of football, has to be football related.
Okay.
Death, taxes, and for Joel Klatt.
Football fans.
Yeah.
Finish this expression.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it. Do it. Look me in the eyes. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Death, taxes, and...
What can you put in there? Joe, you can use it and say Joel Klatt says the 3 things he can count on. Well, then delete it and redo it.
I'll quote tweet it later, so it freshens it up in people's timeline.
Oh, quote tweet it. Look at you, man. You are so.
All right, there it is. It's up
savvy.
on Twitter. David DJ James. Yeah. Football fans, finish this expression: death, taxes, and the Bears quarterback isn't good enough.
The Bears quarterback.
Been arguing Bears.
Thank you, Jim
forever.
McMahon. That's the last time we get Jimmy Mack on the show.
Yep.
And he's been open way more to interviews, which is the storyline of every ex-player I've ever been around who was reluctant to do interviews. Then when the calls stop coming, I should say.
No, I don't do it.
I wonder what podcast Stockton's doing today.
The John Stockton podcast.
Was it what is does he actually have a podcast?
I don't know.
Oh,
he does. I have to find the name of it though.
Does he? Is it sports? Is it general? Is it politics? Or because he certainly waded into some controversial
things.
Thing.
Intersection of all 3 of the things.
An intersection. I love intersection.
That's when we got used to avoid intersections and go straight to the parking lot and into the car.
Yeah.
Hey, Utah football. Duh. Thank you, T. Collin 41.
But that's Joel Klatt.
Salt Lake Jake. Diarrhea.
Ooh. Yikes. I'm going to look forward to that. That's things I can count on. Death, taxes,
and 8:30 kickoffs in November.
It's called the Ultimate Assist.
The Ultimate Assist.
He is partnered with Dr. Ken Rickers as his co-host on the show.
Dr. Kenny?
I guess so.
Well, get him on, man. We'll pump his podcast.
We have tried.
Come on, John. I love you.
Our emails have gone unanswered.
Oh, John. Tell him we'll pay him. He needs the money.
Football fans finish this expression. Death, taxes, and Chewbacca says BYU referencing 1984. Smiley winking emoji, laughing crying emoji.
You don't hear much about that anymore, do you?
No, that's 40 years ago now. We really don't hear about that much anymore. At 10 and 20 years, you hear it, but then you get beyond that, it seems to kind of fade away. Plus, college football's changed so much and multiple realignments. More in the now. It's cool when it happened, but there's a generation of fans who just have read about it. They didn't live
What
it.
can you say about BYU these days? Death, taxes, and paying big money for players?
Oh, there it is. Death, taxes. I think you rephrase that. Death, taxes, and we will not be outbid.
Oh, dog.
Yeah.
Wow. You went right to the midsection and a little lower.
You got to go memorable. Use the quote that's already in the people's consciousness.
But Santiago said that was a misquote.
Oh, well, there you go. Death, taxes, and sellout crowds. Tough tickets in Provo these days. Good luck.
Oh, Utah's had 90 straight sellouts.
I was thinking basketball, too. The whole "we will not be outbid," I think of it as a basketball. I mean, it's a BYU quote, but I think it was a basketball quote.
We will not be outbid. I gave him another marketing thing. We will not be outbid.
Oh, Connor. Death, taxes, and is Cam Rising playing this week?
Oh! See, where would you be if I didn't come to work today? You wouldn't have thought of that.
I'd be breaking it down. Death, taxes, and SEC teams are overrated, according to Derek.
I like it.
Except they're not overrated this year, are they? They're crushing it in the non-conference. Last year was great because there's a lot of embarrassing losses to reference. But this year, not so much.
Who they beat?
Auburn beat Baylor. SEC
Texas
beat the Big
lost
12.
to Ohio State.
Aha!
The biggest game in the SEC, and they lost.
Yeah, well, that's the fault of the number one draft pick. The former number one draft pick.
He never was the number one draft pick.
Yep. All right, DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Keep answering that question. We'll get to that coming up. And we'll get your picks for this weekend's games. We'll do that. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
Nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest. Listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week. Sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals.
Football Friday. Peace, love, and Utes.
Peace, love, and Utes?
Peace, love, and Utes.
Is it peace, loving Utes or peace, love
and Utes?
A-N-D?
It's the symbol.
Ampersand.
Ampersand, yes.
Okay. All right. Because I'm glad that he has that.
A graduate of Utah and, he has it in caps, the Ohio State University.
Okay, I don't like him.
And he's got clat, death, taxes, Utah football. There's actually a GIF. Awesome. Unless he just made it.
I was going to say, did he
I wonder if
make
he
that
just
up?
made it. Yeah. That seems like a lot of work. I'll find it. I'm not interested in making stuff.
Klatt does love himself some Utah football.
Yeah.
And I'm a Joel Klatt fan. I love the fact that he is just the college football guy. He doesn't venture into any other areas. He's like the Yogi Roth of college football.
Locked in.
Yeah.
Seth says death, taxes, and Utah losing bowl games.
Now, there was a time that they were like 11-1 under Kyle under bowl games.
Yep.
But when's the last bowl game they won?
17, I think.
Is that the
they've lost five. I think they've lost 5 in a row
in Dallas?
Yeah,
and it was like 20 degrees.
The Heart of Dallas Bowl.
And they were playing West Virginia.
Playing the Cotton Bowl
was out, and there was like
5 or 10,000 people rattling around on a foggy day.
Yeah. And they asked me, "You want to go cover that game? Do I have a choice?" Yes. No.
I think it's like 16 or 17 is the last time they won one. It's like 5 straight losses.
No, that was it because they lost both the games. That was his sophomore year, and his junior and senior year, they were in the conference title games and they lost. And they missed 3 bowl games in there. 3 years they didn't play a bowl. So,
well, last year and then obviously COVID.
I guess they missed 2 bowl games in there.
Yeah.
They lost a Vegas Bowl, and they lost both the Rose Bowls and a Holiday and an Alamo. And there you go.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Sing it!
Well, I'll go across the street, across the hall here, FM 100. Playing Christmas music any day now.
That's right. We got another question, by the way, if you want to pick winners this weekend. Who wins this week? Utah and BYU. The local sweep, 42% of the vote. Texas Tech and BYU, 39% of the vote.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park for the Cougars. This quarterback is good. You know, he's a senior. He's been around. And we've seen plenty of guys who play at this level who are really good quarterbacks because you can only have one guy play, right? So quarterbacks bounce around, so it's not a big deal, I don't think anyway, to drop down if it's you consider that down. Obviously, in just terms of rep and prestige, you would consider it down. But he's a good quarterback. He's thrown for almost 1,000 yards. His name Hauser. I like the kid. So when they talk about the defense being tested, yeah. And then everything for Grizzly Bear is a test. It just has to be.
It's all new.
Yeah.
And included in that is, assuming he keeps passing these tests, well, how does he handle success? That's another test.
Okay, you look at it that way. Yeah. You know, he's a freshman, right? Mm-hmm. And a couple of years ago, who won the Heisman? I think that was Jaden Daniels. Who was really good in the NFL last year as a rookie? I think that's Jalen Daniels, right? Mm-hmm. And Jaden Daniels. I don't want to call him Jaden or Jalen. That's Jaden. But go back to when he was a freshman. He comes into RES, and I think he was like 3 for 20 for 25 yards.
Yes, it was a terrible, and it was a big deal at the time because he'd been here. He was recruited here. I think there are pictures of him in the stands at an SC game.
There's all sorts of controversy with his
mother. And then he went there,
and
so when he came back in, send a message, blah, 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 right?
And he's a freshman. He wasn't prepared to play in that situation.
Clearly, he figured some stuff out, and he transferred like most quarterbacks do.
Yeah. But look what he did.
But even he's still figuring stuff out. Now, how do you play through an injury in the NFL?
So Grizzly Bear Bachmeier is a freshman, and let's see what his development is. You know, I don't think that East Carolina's defense is going to be the Ute defense that year. I understand that. But still, freshman. And then they've got a senior quarterback who I think is good and would not surprise me if he's on an NFL roster somewhere next year.
Greg Wrubell is clearly doing his pregame
got stats? Coming with stats?
He does, but it goes right to what you said about...
but you love stats.
I do. Blake Harrell took over last year. The coach was fired. He was the interim. They won.
7-2.
They took the interim off. He's 7-2. And Greg tweets out, ECU has recorded 400-plus yards of total offense in 8 of 9 games since the coaching change late last season.
I can't believe Wrubell has a tweet that has stats.
I know. It's stunning, really. But that goes to the point of they've got a quarterback, they've got an offense. These guys have consistently performed. They have a whole offseason. You know, the first 3 games, you prep for those 3 opponents in the offseason, really break down what they do, and they keep doing it.
Oh, yeah. It going to be a ball game. Going to be a fight.
The defense will be tested.
Jay in the defense, as Kalani said in your last Cougar update, not Jay in the Americas. This magic moment, so different and so new, was like any other. It's Jay and the defense. Okay. And then it happened. I gave you your time. You didn't take it.
Aggie fans' feelings are hurt. Who wins this week? Utah and BYU, Utah and East Carolina. Only 4% of the people think the locals will get swept with Texas Tech and East Carolina. And Jack, U-State Iceman, I know Utah State's playing a game this week. Where are they on this list? They're playing McNeese. It's a money game. Not gonna clutter this. Got more faith in Bronco than that. You don't need predictions here, Jack. You know you're going to win.
Right. They're playing Edward McNeese State. Get out of town. Look at the Aggies playing money games. They're big time.
The first
Here's
time
your $5 million. Get out of here.
I don't think they're paying him $5 million. It's about 10 money games, I think, up there.
Take your beating and go on out of here. So we'll get back to the Aggies in time.
Give it another week.
We didn't exactly break down Cal Raleigh Pomona, or wherever the heck the Utes played last week or 2 weeks ago.
Cal Raleigh Pomona.
Yeah.
They played Cal Poly. This is located in San Luis Obispo, but they've dropped it from their name.
Oh. Why not? What, are they embarrassed to be in San Luis Obispo?
I think
I'm sure that's a fine place.
It is, and they heard about Cal Poly SOL, and they thought, we're going to change our name. We're not going to give Kinahan that kind of material to work with.
Wrap it up, guys. We're changing the name.
Well, suppose Pomona drops his name. Then we got no idea which Cal Poly you playing. Come on.
Cal Poly Pomona playing D3 football.
Well, what is Cal Raleigh SOL playing?
I thought you knew everything about L.A. I asked you a D3 football question yesterday and you looked at me and go,
that's Azusa.
I have no idea.
You're like the Tribune. Hey, go do a feature on Brian Russell. You live there. Yeah, it was 90 miles away.
It was a great idea. You ended up with a great story.
Because I'm really good and they never really appreciated it until I left.
That part's true.
You can't do Olympic stories. You're not good enough. Hey, I saw right here.
For those who are on video, that was probably a little more fun for the folks on radio.
Yeah, I came back with a dynamite story. One of the best ones I ever did. So, but yeah, Aggie fans, we will give you your due, just not this week. We have Bronco Mendenhall on every Monday.
And there will be intriguing games down the road now.
And then you get 3 hours of Aggie talk every midday.
That's right. Well, not 3 hours.
4?
Maybe,
is it up to 4 now?
2.5, because there's going to be at least 20 minutes of food and 10 minutes of Idaho.
Oh.
But 2.5.
Okay.
All right, football fans, finish this expression. Death, taxes, and... Dan says Utah fans thinking they're better than they really are.
The team or the fans?
Utah fans.
Right. Do they think themselves are better than they really are when they're really low class?
And a guy responds, yeah, almost no other fan of any team ever thinks that.
You don't?
I've overhyped teams
You can't
before.
even beat the 62. You'd rather the Padres play the 62 Mets than this year's version. And you're not even sure they could beat the 62 Mets.
No, they could, because 62 Mets be... That's the old Larry Bird line. Larry, could Kobe thinks he could beat you. Oh, probably. I mean, I'm 50 now. Run a bunch of 90-year-old guys out there.
So I don't know that every fan base, every fan base has those fans, no question. But what percentage of Ute fans think they're better than they really are?
I wonder what percentage of you fans right now really the stomach is grumbling. They're super tense. I don't know. This is it. Don't want to start 0-1.
Oh, I think it's a high percentage. I think there's a lot of respect towards Texas Tech. If you've been listening to us, you know the money that they pumped in. Watch this. Pay attention to softball last year. They $1 million pitcher that they
rode all the way to the best 2 out of 3 final. Yeah, it rode all the way to the College World Series final. Last 2 teams standing, best 2 out of 3, and they got to Game 3.
Yeah, right. And then she had to spin it that no, she's very comfortable in Lubbock, and that's it wasn't about the money. Yeah, right. I don't believe you.
Had to be at least a little bit about the money.
And good for you. I would have done the exact same thing. Why would I want a Stanford education when I can get a Texas Tech education and $1 million? And then they're going to re-up me to come back.
For another $1 million.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Good for her. That's a nice little amount of money to start your work life when you graduate, to do whatever you're going to do. Hopefully she uses that money wisely.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Get the lowdown from the big noon kickoff sportscaster and wagering expert, Chris the Bear Fallica. What does he expect from Utah and Texas Tech? That's coming up at 8:45. So, as normally when we do our NFL locks, we will do them next. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Gail Miller always used to use the word stewardship. I used to hear that a lot. And I like that kind of concept because sports franchises do mean more than just businesses. They mean more to the community. They mean more to the members, all the things than just businesses.
Sure.
We're not doing restaurant talk radio at kslrestaurant.com.
Right.
You know, people are passionate. They're loyal. It hits different. And I do think that you owe it to your fans to run it correctly. That doesn't mean you have to rattle off a zillion championships.
No, of course
that
not.
doesn't mean that you have to have ultimate success all of the time. That doesn't mean any of that. That means that you kind of owe it to be a good representation of the community. So many people, the only thing they know about Cleveland is their joke football team.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
The Hercules First Federal Credit Union Salt Lake County High School Player of the Week this week is Mountain Ridge High School quarterback Jackson Hunt. Hunt passed for 380 yards and 5 touchdowns while rushing for another score in the Sentinels' 49-15 rout of Copper Hills. Don't miss the KSL Sports Game Night Live Game of the Week this week as the Bountiful Redhawks take on the Woods Cross Wildcats. Catch the action. Is that tonight? Catch the action tonight on KSLSports.com, the KSL Sports app, or here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Salt Lake County Player of the Week Award is proudly presented by the Hercules First Federal Credit Union. At Hercules, they're celebrating the everyday victories. Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together.
It is time for our NFL locks of the week. There are some possibilities out there. 2-0 Green Bay at 0-2 Cleveland. How you guys feeling about that? Want to use the Packers? Or you want to hold on to them for later in the season?
The Pack, huh? To me, that is the most obvious one.
But the 0-2 Jets are going to the 2-0 Bucks. A possibility.
No question. But I still think I would go Green Bay 1. If you want to go that other one 2, that's fine.
The 0-2 Saints. Yak rode them to victory already once this year. I have a feeling Yak's just going to go up and down the Saints.
I'm not going Saints this week.
Oh, you're not? They're in Seattle playing the Seahawks.
You can't go them every week because they're in the comp.
Well, once they get back and play the second game of the division, yeah, you can't pick them.
But like picking their opponent is what he's saying.
I know, but right, but you can't do that.
Okay, how about the 0-2 Chiefs and the 0-2 Giants? To your point earlier in the show, you're not giving up on the Chiefs, and I think a lot of people feel that way. They got to get it going now. You can't go lose the Giants and drop to 0-3. There's got to be a certain amount of focus and desperation.
Understood. Yeah, certainly. I mean, I would pick the Chiefs, but a Giants win wouldn't be the most shocking thing that I would see in this NFL season in this circumstance. I mean, they played the Cowboys tough right to the end. Wilson looked way better than he has been in recent years.
Got anybody else you want to throw in there? I mean, Bills Dolphins was a possibility for you two last night. I'd already used Buffalo, so I couldn't use them. I had them beating the Jets in week 2, so I'm done. You can only take a team once here under our rules.
Oh, let's see. You've got, I think Houston should beat Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's actually favored in that game.
I don't see it. I think Dallas should beat Chicago. I think Pittsburgh should beat New England.
I can see those things happening.
I think Minnesota should beat Cincinnati.
Cincinnati going with the backup quarterback now.
Right. Indy and Tennessee, how good are the Colts?
I don't know how much to trust the Vikings offense. I trust the Vikings defense, although the Bengals still obviously have good wide receivers in that, but it just, offense is coming off a 6-point performance.
But it's not about the Vikings. It's about the other team and the quarterback situation. But I get your point. That for me, when I say
I get it, and the Bengals might only score 14 points, but maybe that wins a 14-10 game because the Vikings can't score either.
Maybe so.
And I'm looking for a lock. So even though I get your point.
Yeah, but you're not going to have a guaranteed lock, or else the Vegas casinos would be losing money.
Well, and I get that, but I go with what you said right out of the gate. The Packers-Browns is one of the more enticing ones. When I was looking through this, the Packers-Browns was one of my 2 or 3 favorite games here.
Well, for sure, them and Seattle have the biggest lines.
Right. And the Saints going to play the Seahawks. The Saints look like they're a mess.
But at the same time, they have the biggest lines, and it's only a touchdown.
I know. And the Chiefs-Giants. Because I really do think, to your point, don't count the Chiefs out. Do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl? No. Do I think they're going to go? No. Do I think they're going to win the division? No. I think that off the seasons they were coming off of, I could see them finishing behind both the Chargers and the Broncos. Now, we'll see. Maybe I'm too high on Denver. Maybe that's a bad call. But I don't think the Chiefs are falling off the table here and going 4-13. They're going to win some games here. They're probably going to get in. They're going to have a winning record. They're going to be in the playoffs.
All right, then go with them and don't go with Green Bay.
That's what I'm tempted to do.
You're going to go Green Bay. You know you are, so stop it. You are too. You're going Green Bay. No, you are.
I was actually leaning towards the Chiefs.
You're not.
I have some logic. I have some logic to this.
Of course you do.
We have a whole segment here.
To put on a pair of pants, you have to logic it out.
Right foot first.
Which socks you're going to wear today? You're going to logic it out.
Same ones I wore yesterday.
You have some logic to it.
That's kind of gross. Who are you going with?
Who are you going with?
You going with the Packers? I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
No, you're not.
Okay, I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
No, you're not.
Because there's nothing that prevents us from having the same team.
No, absolutely not.
I know. I'm telling the listeners.
Right.
Who do you got?
Pick whoever you want.
I am rolling with Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, extending the Jets' misery.
I like it.
That's where I was going. Something tells me save Buffalo, save Baltimore,
Bingo.
Save Green Bay.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know why, but it just seems like you're supposed to do this. And I haven't figured out. Like, you went right for the favorites early. And I thought, well, what's wrong with that? That seemed, anything you do, I want to say is stupid. So let's get that understood. And I thought, oh man, he's going to the favorites right away. Why do that? But now that I've thought about it, well, why not do that?
I would feel stupid if I had a favorite right there that I knew was a lock and I lost over here in week 1.
I understand that.
And that's
but
what
why
did to
are
me.
we saving the better teams? Yock and I are both doing it,
right?
And I'm wondering, why am I doing it? Why am I saving Green Bay?
And I think there are 5 teams right now that they're going to win at least 12 games. They're going to, and so you've always, when you're in a pinch, I think what Yock did early on is to identify a couple teams that are terrible. Like, they are just not going to get done. So there's less risk there. You seem to play with fire a little more. But we've all won both our 2 picks out of the gate.
And the reason I'm picking Tampa Bay is Justin Fields is out with a concussion for the Jets, meaning they are going to be already at a disadvantage going head-to-head with Tampa Bay. Do I necessarily believe in Tampa Bay as the season progresses? That's TBD on how things progress.
No, but it's this week.
But it's to a degree in that division. I'll bet you're picking them to win that division.
Yeah, I mean, the NFC South, absolutely.
Saints, Falcons, Panthers, you're not picking the Panthers, and you're not picking the Saints.
Yeah.
So unless you think Atlanta's going to have a breakout year, but you've got Tampa to win 10 games and win that division.
To PK's point, you have to kind of weigh, okay, do I hold on to some of these higher-powered teams for later in the year when you do get into that pinch where you're looking at a week like, oh, man, I got no idea. Okay, I'm going to bank on Buffalo this week.
That's what I'm doing, too.
Yeah.
So that's why I was going to go Tampa.
Yeah, I'm rolling Tampa.
All right.
And I like Mayfield. I like his feistiness.
And
I like him getting
and we're all picking and
writhing on the ground.
And what we're really doing is we're all picking against the New York teams because we think they're terrible.
No, I'm not picking against the team. I'm picking for the team.
And the reason why I'm picking, they're wearing the creamsicles this weekend. Let's go.
Because this is the NFL.
They should have never gone away from those.
These teams, the margin of victory is so small.
Right.
So
yeah, the three blowouts are 6.5, 7.5, 7.5 points.
Those aren't blowouts.
No. Tampa Bay at 6.5.
And so the people who do this for a living are putting the things lower to entice you in. Well, they wouldn't be putting them lower to entice you in if they didn't think, wow, over the course of 17, 18 weeks, we will get more money by doing this. So there's a method to their reasoning. They're not just throwing stuff against the wall here.
There is. I mean, they pour over this stuff.
So you look at it and think, oh, my gosh, the Giants are only a 6.5-point underdog, or the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Giants all the way. But yet things happen, and there's a reason why they do this, and the money comes flowing into these sports books and these gambling things. This is literally a billion-dollar industry.
Multi-billion-dollar industry. All right, DJ and PK, when we come back, speaking of that, Chris the Bear Fallica, he does all the prediction wagering stuff, working for Fox. So does he think this Utah-Texas Tech game is going to be high scoring? Does he think the line is right? Utes favored by 3.5. That's 3 points to the home team. Does he see the teams that evenly matched? We'll talk with him coming up next, and then Pablo Mastroeni at 9 right here on The Zone.
You've been listening to The Zone for decades.
Yeah!
But now you can... You've been listening to The Zone for decades.
Yeah!
But now you can watch the guys break down your favorite teams.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Catch the video stream of DJ and PK, Jake and Ben, Hanson, Scotty, and JJ and Alex right now at KSLSports.com or by searching KSL Sports on YouTube. Utah's best sports radio is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, we're joined now by the Bear. Chris Fallica, you see him on Fox Sports, talking wagering on the big noon kickoff. Chris, good morning.
Good morning. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Well, a couple of 3-0 nationally ranked teams are getting ready to square off, and everybody here is pretty intrigued because these first 3 games have been pretty much a foregone conclusion. So now there's some real drama, and I guess the first question for you right out of the gate, do you think this is a high-scoring game, a low-scoring game? What are you expecting and why?
I am expecting a lower-scoring game because I think what you're going to see from Utah tomorrow will probably be a lot of running, a lot of complementary football, a lot of using. What we've seen so far, a lot of using Dampier in the run game with his legs to try and keep that high-powered Texas Tech offense off the field. I was talking with Joe McGuire on my show earlier the week, and they've been really happy and pleasantly surprised, over-surprised at how good their front has been. So I mean, I don't think it's going to be easy to move the ball up and down the field, but I think what Beck and Witt and those guys are going to be planning on doing is to just try and help their defense out by shortening the game, extending drives, and keeping Tech off the field. And that's something certainly that they can succeed in. It's funny because I was super high on Utah coming into this year, and now you talk about 3-0 teams and foregone conclusion, like what they did to UCLA. I was like, oh my God, they're better than I thought they would be. And now you see what the Bruins have been in the last couple of weeks. You're like, do I want to pump the brakes a little bit? So yeah, a lot of intrigue tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I think that's a safe bet as far as what Utah's trying to do offensively, because I think that Kyle Whittingham has built a lot of his success on the ability to run the ball and play solid defense and special teams. So I completely see what you're doing there. How about Texas Tech's philosophy on offense? What do you think McGuire is going to want out of his guys?
I mean, they're certainly going to want to just ball, tempo, a lot of plays. They're interesting because they're a team that had a big injury at running back early in the year, and I don't think they really knew what they were going to be able to get out of the running game. But Morton is someone who gives them a lot of experience at the quarterback position, being a veteran guy. He's seen kind of everything that can be thrown at him. I expect them to get as many plays in as possible, and now they've kind of used those 3 different backs to kind of fill the void. But again, They're interesting because I don't think they've really played anybody. Oregon State is just an atrocious team, but it'll be curious to see. I mean, they've got a bunch of different looks, a bunch of different formations, and 5 or 6 different targets there in the wide receiving game. It's certainly going to make it a little bit difficult on Utah to defend all those guys. But I would expect kind of Utah trying to slow the game down and Tech trying to speed it up as much as possible.
This game has intrigue for multiple reasons, and I'm curious, when your staff is sitting around, how much of what is said on the air do you already know because you're all talking about the game all week long, and how surprising is it? And if you do know, can you kind of not give away all their takes, but kind of assess like the group think, the general thoughts of this group as they get ready for the game?
Yeah, I am not part of the game production meetings with the teams and the coaches, so I can't comment on that. But from my past experiences and talking with the people who are, I think that's the balance and that's the trust of everything. I think when you develop a good relationship with the coach and a program and a player and an SID, it's like, okay, give us the real stuff. Let us give us a heads up. And once they realize that you've got their back and everything that they tell you is in confidence, it makes for a better relationship and a better broadcast because you can kind of prepare for it and say, here's what they were thinking here. Like there's some coaches out there that just will blatantly lie. We had an incident a few years back with an Oklahoma-Baylor game where CeeDee Lamb just didn't play, and we were led to believe that he was going to, and we had heard he had a concussion and wasn't going to play, and no, he's good to go when he's dressed on the field, and then you see the game start, helmet off, he's not playing. So it's good when coaches have that trust factor with whether it's Joel and Gus and Jenny or Kirk and Chris at ESPN, like to be able to have that relationship and get the real stuff. Everyone benefits.
How fun is your job?
Is it a job?
No.
Exactly. That's what I always say. Like, it beats a real job. Like, I go to a college football game every week, and I talk about numbers and bets and the sport and the college football playoff rankings and go to great restaurants and talk to people from throughout the country. It's great. I think that's part of what I try to exude to people is that I'm just an average sports fan like you out there. I'm just fortunate to be able to have a platform to be able to talk about it. Like will there be a point in the year when I'll be sitting there at Detroit International Airport and my flight will be delayed however long, and I'm gonna miss a connection or whatever else? Yeah, that comes with the territory. But my week, I'll forget. I wouldn't trade it for anything, to be quite honest with you.
How did you end up on camera doing this?
Yeah, well, a few way back when, on my college game day era, the producers and Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler always knew, like in the meetings that you were just talking about as well. Like I was always very passionate and had a good note or a number or a take, and they knew I was involved in the betting lingo, in the betting world. So they're like, we need to figure out a way to get this on the air, and it was before the betting became legalized throughout most of the country. And so we would mention some things about like closer than the experts think, obviously, expected to be the lowest scoring game of the day, as an underdog, blah, blah. And we didn't really want to – we're not naive. I mean, we know people throughout the country were making bets. And then when Pablo came in and repealed a lot of those laws and states started legalizing it, we're like, okay, now we can go in, and we created a little device with the board for me to pick some games, and they were like, look, just do you, be what you are in the meeting, and we know you're going to present it in a great way, and that's what wound up happening. Put a little GoPro camera in front of me, look at the guys, and that was the great part about it, was because people always ask me like, oh, were you nervous when you no, because I don't even see this little camera in front of me. It's like I'm looking at the guys on the set. So it was a good thing, and having the device and be able to throw those little magnets on the board of logos that none of the guys ever really knew what the hell they were anyway was fun, and hopefully it's come across. And then with the podcast with Stanford Steve, and now the Bear Bears pod, it's just kind of taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, it certainly has. There's no question about that. Do guys like you, when you're involved in this, do you have to have a nickname?
It helps. It certainly helps. It helps create that little buzz, that little aura, and that's something that I was bringing up in the last month or 6 weeks or so when all of the Lee Corso tributes came about, because he's the one that gave me the nickname Bear.
Oh, he did?
Kirk Herbstreit and I were having brunch one morning, and Lee comes walking in from his morning walk, and he comes and stops and says hi to Kirk and myself and looks at the table. He looks at Kirk, and he looks at the table, and he looks at me again, and he just says, "Look at you, Fallica. You're just like a big bear. You eat, you sleep, you poop." Oh, he didn't say poop. And then you take a nap and you do it all over again. You're like a big bear. So ever since then, I've been the bear.
That'll do it. You don't focus on just the one game, so I'm curious across the Big 12 as we try to figure out all these teams, if you have any strong feeling or vibe about anything that's going to happen in this game, high scoring, low scoring, winner, loser, upset, whatever. SMU, TCU, BYU, East Carolina. The ASU Baylor game is big. You got any strong feelings about any of these games?
I like ASU. I like ASU getting the points down there in Waco. I think if they could find a little bit more of a running game. I mean, that was an inexcusable way to lose that game in Starkville a couple of weeks ago. And I think Levitt's got that little bit of edge that makes him very, very difficult to beat in a toss-up type game. I like ASU plus the points. And I was a little surprised that TCU was that big of a favorite over SMU. I know SMU and Rhett's got a bunch of injuries that they're dealing with, mostly on the offensive side of the ball, but I know Hoover put up some big numbers, but should they be a touchdown favorite, north of a touchdown favorite over just because they beat a bad North Carolina team? Like, I don't know about that. If I had to take a look at that game and you were in a little pick-up pool this week or a contest, I might take a look at taking SMU plus the points in that rivalry game.
How much of the, I don't know if the word's enjoyment, but maybe the success of the show each week that it goes is due to the fans getting into it?
A great percentage of it. Without fans getting into it, it's a completely dead atmosphere, and it's a show that we could do from inside a studio. I think that's part of what made College Game Day great, and then people saw that, whether it was inside the NBA, Big Noon Kickoff, creating their shows and taking them on the road and getting the fans involved, and it creates a little bit of a connection between the on-air personnel, whether it's Rob and Coach and Mark and Matt and Brady and me or whomever else. You get out there before the show, during the show, after the show, and it's interaction, and people get to see themselves on TV when they get home later in the day, and it's kind of cool, and it just personalizes everyone a little bit more, and it just kind of builds the excitement. Like, you go back and look at some of the shows that were in. Talk to those guys now about, could you guys remember when it was 2019 or whatever, and we were just sitting in the studio, how boring that was. Now we're out at a game, watching a game, and just enjoying the fans. And it's a totally different world, and I think any of these networks that have these shows and go out there and do it, they'll tell you the same thing. Being on the road and getting involved with the people and being in a game, nothing's better than that.
Fan bases really want to, be in the spotlight, and we know that, most of the people live in the Eastern and Central time zone. There's way more population. Plus, these shows are so early when you go west. Is there ever a little fear of going west and wondering if people are going to show up because it is so early in the morning?
I think I will answer it in two ways. There was, for quite some time, I'm going all the way back to College Game Day. There was a little bit of a concern about that. And then finally in 1998, Game Day took the show to the Rose Bowl for UCLA, Oregon, and people showed up, and it was a great game, and it was like, see, kind of told you that they would show up. And then there was an era. There was one year where Game Day was in Oregon, I think 3 times, and went on the road to SC a couple of times. I think they understood that the games out west, those fans matter, and those games were good, and those programs were good, and they deserve to be showcased. Of course, there was a little bit of concern, but once you get out there and see it, I think the concern was absolutely alleviated. I think now the issue with Big Noon, and this is why what Utah and the Big 12 and Texas Tech, but playing this game at 10 a.m. Mountain is a great thing for us, because it can kind of prove that people are going to get out there early and do it. I try and relate that to my bosses here now at Fox. Like, hey, we shouldn't be afraid to go into Oregon. Trust me, for a I know the kick is going to be whatever the kick is going to be, but don't worry about the show at 7 a.m. Pacific. They're going to be there. They showed up at 6 for game day. The extra hour there, it's not going to matter. The fans are just going to want to be introduced to a new show and new people and be excited for their game later that day. So I think the whole noon kick dynamic with Big Noon, it kind of creates a little bit of a challenge in getting the show out west as much as I would like it. But hopefully this will begin to turn some corners between this week and what we did last year with BYU.
Chris, we appreciate the time. Good luck tomorrow on the air, and may the picks all break your way. May the ball bounce your way.
I appreciate that.
All right.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me, guys.
Right.
Appreciate you. Have a great weekend.
Chris Fallica, the Bear, Fox Sports sportscaster and wagering expert. That's funny. Lee Corso walks up to a table. You can totally visualize that. You've traveled so much. You're sitting there eating with one person, somebody else wanders in, and they just look at him.
Yeah.
You eat, you sleep, you poop, and then you do it all over again.
What else is there in college football season?
There it is. All right, DJ and PK, it's Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach. Next, they got to win 4 out of 5. They got to bounce back against the same team that just took them apart here in Utah. We'll talk with him about that next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach, going to join us momentarily here. Ready for a weekend of football, PK?
Oh, no.
It starts tonight, Tulsa and Oklahoma State. Can you get into that?
Oklahoma State, see how bad they are.
You've given up on Oklahoma State.
Not yet.
Iowa, Rutgers. Oh, back to your Jersey roots, man. Rutgers is 3-0 playing at home. You ever go to a Rutgers game when you lived back there?
I did not.
Not even one.
I knew an extended family friend who played for Rutgers, and they came out to play Colorado, and Pablo would know about this. They came out to play Colorado, and he kept hearing about the altitude. He was on the kickoff team. He thought he was going to die when he ran on the kickoff team.
That's classic. DJ PK, we're joined now by Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach. Pablo, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Pablo, you got to bounce back, and I was amazed in the postgame. It felt to me like you were already in bounce-back mode, setting the tone for the team. There was a little lamenting of what happened in the 4-1 loss, but I was already feeling the turning of the page and I don't think this is a word, the upbeatedness. Was that your nature, or was that thinking, this is my job in this moment, this is what the team needs?
No, I think it's a little bit of both, right? I think looking at the game and the way we wanted to attack it, I think the guys executed it really well. I think it came down to a couple details, knowing that they're a team that wants to get out on the break. And so we just had to make better decisions in those moments. I think the frustrating part, again, where I'm saying like 95% of the game went the way we wanted it to go. And the 5% were 2 throw-ins in the first half where we didn't defend it the right way, which is, it's pretty rudimentary stuff, right? And you got to either clear the ball or foul in the middle midfield because, again, we're holding a high line against a team that thrives getting in behind the high line, right? And then you go back to the third and the fourth goal that we conceded, and those were individual decisions that led to breakaways. And those are those type of breakaways you see in youth soccer. You don't really see those at the professional level. And so, again, just we're right there. I feel like overall, I look at I felt the game on the field. I looked at the stats and, beating, getting all the metrics on our side, creating the chances that we did. And now you can eliminate those four opportunities in the game. And I feel like we would have won that game, but that's not what the game of soccer is. And so I was upbeat in the way we attacked the game. Obviously disappointed with the goals that we conceded because, again, I think going from 2-1 and we're still in the game to now 4-1, it looks like the score doesn't reflect the type of performance that we had. And so we had a great video session yesterday, and I think the upbeatedness is like you've got to be positive, you got to find the silver lining. But in this case, I think it was right in our face, and the areas that we need to improve in is right in our face as well.
With that in mind, then, the fact that you're literally playing the same team and you point out the mistakes and so forth, is that something that you're looking forward to be able to – you want to correct mistakes, obviously, all the time, but the fact that you're playing against the same team, it seems like you would have a little, maybe at least from a player perspective, a little extra juice, gusto to make sure you get it right this time.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, PK. I think, the idea is how quickly can we put these corrections in get them going in real time. And then, obviously having a game 4 days after the last one allows it to do that. And the other part too is like, LAFC is an aggressive team. They're going to be more aggressive at home, right? Both in the way they attack, but also in the way they battle for loose balls and duels. And I think, as a group, we got to be more physical in the way we approach things, and doing it in the right way. So I'm excited, because again, from the feeling that I have on the field is, the way we made some tactical adjustments at halftime, and the guys were able to put more pressure on LAFC's build, and from that created just a slew of opportunities. We tilted the field in our favor. So there's a lot of things that I'm really optimistic about moving forward. But we've got to make sure that we got to understand who we are. We're a team that plays with a really high line. The guys in the back have to be spot on 100% of the time. You cannot get it wrong once. And so we talked about the different decision-making processes that you have to go through in order to make sure that you're helping the team keep zeros, because again, I think it's unfair at the end of the day. Rafa's been, the stalwart in goal and our leader in the group, and he, the way he feels is like he conceded 4 goals, but the truth is we got to do a better job as a group in front of him to make sure we keep zeros against a really good team.
In an average game, teams tend to get 4, 5, 6 corners. You will see teams get 7, 8, or 9. You had 12. That is, that goes to how much you had the ball in the attacking third and how much they were under pressure. But your point about decisions, you were saying after the game, it could have been a 2-1 game if guys had just fouled. And they held you to 1 goal because when they got in trouble, they just kept giving up corners, and they defended corners well. Can you earn that many corners on the road? Do you think it'll be a different style of game? And if so, what can you do to finish them?
Yeah, I think it's different when you go away from home. Yeah. I think you have to earn the right to get to that part of the field. But our mentality, like what I'm telling the guys, is we've got nothing to lose here. So if we don't go out with the same type of mentality, the same type of energy, then we're letting ourselves off the hook here. Like, this is not okay, And so that's what I want to see. That's what I'm optimistic about, is to be able to get pressure on them. And to, again, just give the group the belief and the confidence that, hey, I don't care what happens. We're going to try to do the same thing that we did at home, but we need everyone on board. We need to press, release our outside backs. We're going to be 1v1 at the top, but we have great center backs that can deal with that. And then if we do get in that position where we have multiple corner kicks, we're looking at obviously a short option. But again, I think what they have is a really good. Their 3 center backs are really robust in the air, and there were some really good chances. Again, I think the timing of our runs need to improve a little bit. But I think we'll look at some short options to try to throw them off a little bit. The only problem with short options is now you get like Belonga and Son coming out to deal with the short options, and if it's played short, now you're leaving a ton of space behind you. So it's a cat and mouse game. But we'll look at a couple things to try to, hopefully execute and create a goal-scoring opportunity from a set piece.
You used the word rudimentary, and then you said youth soccer, and that's sort of you could view that as, and I know you've been very positive here, but as damning in a sense. Was it just a lack of focus? What do you attribute that to those things having them happened?
Yeah, again, it's just this. For me, it's like when especially as a center back, right? You have to understand that, is this the moment to pass the ball, or is this the moment to try to put it over AFS field? Mm-hmm. Like, there's got to be a sense of danger. So in other words, what I'm saying about the reference to youth is you're playing the game because it's a game and you love to play the game, and I'm playing the tactics of the game because that's. But at the professional level, it's killed or be killed, right? You're either winning or you're losing, and so this moment is more than just a tactical application or a technical application. This moment is this moment defines the competitive nature of the sport. So if I am the last center back and I don't clear the ball well, then if I'm not aware that I need to boot this thing out because I got Son running at me or I have Belonga running at me, and I don't have a pass available, then I don't care what anyone says about my decision. I'm going to do the best for the team, right? And I think that's the more professional way to deal with these situations, as opposed to saying we have to play out of everything because we're a team that plays. And so just not understanding the enormity of that moment is what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Is this just decision making, And I think those last two goals, it was almost like we were surprised by the fact that we were going to be man-to-man in the back. And then the decisions that we made thereafter led to two goals in the back of our net. And so there's a common rule in football, especially when you're a defender. You have to win the man, you have to win the ball, or you have to get the man. But you can't do neither. Like, in other words, you can't go into a tackle and let the ball get out of the play or the man get out of the play. And that's just fundamental professional football. Like, you got to make a foul, get your team behind the ball, or you got to win the ball clear. And so these are decisions that pros have to make in split seconds. It's not easy, right? So those are, again, we're talking about the finer aspects of the game and the level of experience you need to be able to make all those decisions in real time to help your team win.
A lot of coaches don't like to give away their starting 11, and I get that. And a lot of fans can figure it out. Everybody can figure out you're going to start Olatunji, except now you can't because he got the red card. So there's a lot of options there. And although you could tell us who you're going to start, that'd be great. But if you don't, the guys who are in consideration, kind of their strengths and weaknesses and what you're weighing. If Agata comes in, that's kind of bring the guy off the bench you tend to bring in as a sub anyway, and a kind of a like-for-like situation. But you maybe change the formation. If you brought Diogo in, you could play Diego Luna in the middle and just go with one striker up top. But is Cruz that guy? Does he have the nose for goal? What are you weighing there? There's probably a couple other options you could do too. What are you thinking? What are you balancing here?
Well, I think first, I think it's, going back to the last game and what kind of gave us the ability to impose ourselves on the game with the ball. And I think that's having three guys on the front line that are always threatening their back line, right? So, again, when you're playing against five, what we're trying to always do is pull their five out. So whether it's our fullback being a little bit deeper so their wing back comes, and then Diego being a little bit deeper so their outside center back comes. Now we have three guys on the back line, which is 3 for 3 on the back line, which is advantage us, right? So I think, going up against this team, I think if we have a lot of players playing off that back line, we'll get a lot of east to west possession, but we'll never create the amount of chances that we created in this last game. So I think that's first and foremost is what are we trying to achieve? And then looking at our group and saying, who gives us that type of attack? Because, again, we played with 2 10s earlier in this year with 1-9, and we've done a lot of great ball possession stuff. We were toothless in front of goal, right? So I think that just explaining it like that, I think kind of lends itself to making sure that we have a minimum of 3 guys on the highest line that are willing to get threatening behind. Because when you do that, now Diego Luna has space in front of that back line to operate and do his thing. If Diego is one of those guys that's supposed to be on the front line and he peels off, now we have 2, and they're 3 against 2. They're experienced back line. They're a real formidable back line. We're not asking any questions, and it makes it really difficult to get in behind their block. So, like you said, we have a couple options on in terms of replacing Victor. I think Goza's done a fantastic job. And Juan is another guy that I think does a little bit of both. He understands when to play between the lines, but he can also threaten the back line. And so we'll look at some things in the next couple of days, but more than likely, it'll look a lot like it was last game, which is where we have 3 guys threatening in the back line.
DJ was raving about that 18-year-old scoring that goal. Pretty excited about what he can do now and what is to come, I would imagine.
He's been awesome. Gozo's been steadily improving, working on his craft every day, and now he scores a goal like that. I mean, his confidence should be going through the roof. And obviously, all the little things he does for the group, against the ball has been tremendous. So again, he's leaving with the U20s after this game. I'm sure he's going to have a fantastic tournament. So he's living both him and Luna, year after year, are doing some amazing things. And I think, from a club perspective, it's just there's a lot of pride in, these guys coming into the group and really, growing their game and expressing themselves. And both have been not just good attacking players, but attacking players with a bit of swagger and sense of belief in themselves and how they're helping our team has been tremendous. So I'm really optimistic about Gozo's future. We're going to need him this game to come up with a play like he did the last game as well.
The other day I was out and I saw it must have been about a 10-year-old girl, and she had an RSL jersey, and I was actually riding my bike, and as I approached her, she was in the park, and she turned around and she had it was a Luna jersey. And she's about 10-year-old. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think, and that's how it is when we go away to games. PK, after games, it doesn't matter where we're at. There's a crowd of like 100 people waiting for Luna's autograph. So it's pretty amazing to kind of relive that side of the game. Obviously, I never had that type of following in my career. I wasn't fortunate enough, but to kind of go back to when I was a player and just imagine myself, being in Luna's shoes and now Gozo's shoes, it's a pretty special time to be these guys.
Last thing before I let you go. This is it's a fan thing, but then the more I thought about it, I thought this is a coach thing for Pablo too. So Gozo's throwing himself at that ball, which, and you always say you got to be brave, there's 3 defenders around him. There's a lot of stuff that could have happened, and he ended up scoring a great goal. I don't know if you've looked at Noel Caliscan's response. Did you notice that on film? I didn't notice it at first, and someone pointed it out to me.
Did he grab his head? I think
he puts 2 hands up to his head like, I did not just see that. No. I mean, it's like an internet meme. It actually reminds me of a really popular meme, and it could be one, except it's such a wide shot. I mean, he was clearly completely amazed in that moment. But the other thing I thought is, given where he plays, he's right in front of the goal. If that isn't hit with such authority and such power, and if it's saved, if it's parried away, he's there for the tap in. And you've been preaching, get guys forward. I thought that was an interesting place for him to suddenly pop up. You would expect him to be a little more upfield, but instead he's just a few yards in front of the goal.
Yeah, no, I think again, there's so many things from this game, and that in particular, pivots being in positions. I think he gets the ball from Ojeda, who's also in the box. And so, again, like, we're holding a really, really high line, and the guys in the back have a really tough task, but they're fully capable of achieving that, right? And I think, getting those guys in those positions to score goals, and that's what I really liked about this game, DJ, was, again, they present challenges with their block, but our ability to navigate and create pressure by putting players in the seams of their block to really ask them questions, and then having guys on the high line to be able to play down the sides of them, play through the back 3 was really, really good. And so, that's what I'm anticipating is the same type of performance where we're able to impose ourselves on the game. Obviously, game to game, everything changes, but there's a lot to take away from that game, and in particular that goal, having so many players in and around the goal. I think there's like 6 or 7 players in the box. And obviously that's going to stress your back line, and that's going to ask some real questions. But I believe we have a group that can overcome those challenges, and we're going to throw it all out at LAC on Sunday.
Pablo, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach, join us right here on The Zone. When we come back, everything you missed in this show next. Stay with us.
It's game week for the Cougars, and the KSL Sports Zone is getting you ready for kickoff. It's the first road trip of the year for the Cougars as they make the long flight east for a showdown against East Carolina. Listen all week long for the best coverage of Cougar football. Then catch a special early edition of College Football Saturday starting at 8 a.m. with a postgame show immediately following the game on KSLSports.com. Your home for the best coverage of BYU football is live on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Slacker Radio headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 801-899-7600, to visit the website at TrajanWealth.com. A lot of football today, PK. The Bear, Chris Fallica, came on and said he expects a low-scoring game.
I think that would be a little bit of downer if that were the case. Because these offenses have been hyped so much.
The over-under is 57.5 points. You just bet on the total number of points scored, and is it going to be higher or lower than that? Now, Utah's favored by 3.5, so that would essentially be 30-27. Utah wins by 3. That's close to the line, and that would be 57 points. So I don't see Vegas sees it a low-scoring game, but I get Chris, a.k.a. the Bears' job is to say over-under, so he thinks lower scoring and under. Now, how far under? We had some fans doing predictions earlier, and we did 27-24, and you're like, I could live with that. Now, if it's 17-14, now you got something really low scoring.
I think from the offensive perspective, that would be disappointing.
Yeah,
because these offenses have been humming.
I think that 57 number is it's kind of normal for college football.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
30 tends to be a winning number.
Yeah,
that's average. Fine. That's a ballpark.
Right, and that doesn't.
And that doesn't allow for special teams or defensive scores or short fields.
So that's two different things.
Right.
You got the offense versus the score. Sometimes they don't necessarily correlate.
They don't
completely.
line up. Right.
Yeah. So I'm really intrigued to see these offenses go because they've been humming. Freaking Tech is averaging 600 yards a game, and I realize the opponent's there. I get it, but that's still an eye-popping number.
It is.
And the Utes, the Wyoming first quarter or first half, they sort of were their own worst enemies there. And I don't really freak out over that because
it's the psychology of it.
Yeah, you're not going to be at your premium, and I don't want them at their premium against Wyoming in the second game of the season or third game of the season anyway. Who cares? And so they slogged through it a little bit, and then they said, all right, enough is enough, and then they got it going.
And they were lights out.
Yeah.
4 possessions, 4 scores, done.
That's what's so cool about this game is I don't think it's a statement game, but it's 100% a barometer game. See where you're at. Because win or lose, whatever your goals are, the final score will not
doesn't
seal
guarantee
your goals, nor will it eliminate them.
Yeah. Well, it's game 4. It shouldn't, and it won't.
Well, it's game 1.
Game 1 from that perspective, yes, from the conference perspective.
And you only need to finish second.
BYU and East Carolina. Cougars are favored by 6.5. The over-under there is 49.5. So he tries to do math. Oh, this is always dangerous. 27-21. BYU wins by 6 points. That's close to the line of 6.5. And that's 48 points on an over-under of 49.5. So that's kind of what Vegas is thinking.
I would go more.
Go more what?
Points.
It won't be a 27.
Over then, I guess.
Okay. I didn't know if you meant so BYU wins by more
or
just a higher scoring game.
I'm going to go more. I'm just going more. That's all I'm doing. I'm going more.
BYU 27-21.
I want to go
PK
more.
Picks more.
Yeah.
More of what?
Yeah.
More
I just
of
want
more.
more of it.
More of more.
Who doesn't want more of it? Money, health,
ice cream,
life.
See where I go?
Friends, salary,
golf,
aggravation,
birdies,
disappointment,
Eagles,
frustration,
joy,
hatred,
love. Okay, let's stop this game. That was pretty upbeat until we get to the Padres and Mets.
Diarrhea?
Constipation.
The Padres and Mets. You made a big deal about the Padres wanting to play the Mets.
We didn't want to play the Cubs.
Mets roll them.
Right. Win the division.
It's so irrelevant.
It is, but this is what I have to hang on to right now. And you're right. It gets completely trumped in 2 weeks.
I can recall when
I live in the now.
The Dodgers won the series in '88, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And I'm working down there, and I'm eyeball
This would be the Oral Hershiser's lights out, and Kirk Gibson hits a dramatic homer.
And I think they played the Mets, and the Mets had beat him 11 out of 12.
Yeah, and then they won the NLCS in an epic.
It doesn't matter.
It's different because those regular season, you never know, especially in an era when starting pitching was really important. You never knew who pitched. Did you miss the star?
But
Did you get the
pitching is just as important as it's always been.
Right, but it's different because it's more pitchers.
But it doesn't matter.
But yeah, but guys still they go out and one day they've got it and one day they don't. And so you just need him to have it 4 times in a best of 7
the one time I
series.
hit a 400 fly out up against the wall, and the next time I check swing and I get a double.
There is that.
Yeah. So what happens in the regular season? I mean, we only need to go back 2 years, and an 84-win team got to the
out of the
World
middle
Series.
of nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they hot at the end of the year?
No, I told you.
They're ice cold.
They lost. They got swept in their last series.
Mm-hmm. And then
I don't remember who it was
around.
against.
Yeah.
And you'd have to double check that, but I'm almost positive. And then last year they win more games than the prior year, and they don't make the postseason.
I would like the Padres to show a little toughness and grind out some wins and
not
just
now.
comebacks. And I'd like to know they got that in their bag, and they don't seem to have that. You know?
Well, then they'll be eliminated.
I know.
But then 3 years ago they eliminated the Dodgers.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed that.
And this is a proven playoff team.
Yeah.
They've been in the playoffs like 14 years in a row.
They have not been in 14 years in a row, but they do have quite a bit of experience over the last 5
They
years.
had like 4 Hall of Famers in their lineup.
4.
If not 5.
Manny.
Do I hear 6?
Tatis after the suspension.
Oh, what do you say? That's before.
He's a steroid guy now.
Not back then. His body type hasn't changed a lick.
Agreed.
Some of these guys came in, they were massive.
Yeah.
He's still a slender dude.
He is.
And his best days are ahead of him.
We did our NFL locks. We all picked against New York teams. I'll take the Giants to lose to the Chiefs, and you guys are taking the Jets to lose to the Bucs. Should I switch my picks, and then we can all go down together?
No.
Or all survive together? That's boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even if you go down, there's still an opportunity. There's 2 ways to...
Right, 2 ways to win. We talked earlier. Well, we'll all keep making, and then who has the best record at the end of the year?
Yeah.
You could lose week 3 and be the first one out, and then go 17-1 over the 18 weeks. So
who has
who's
the
to say?
most locks, and then who was still picking the latest?
I've never done this before, but I've read about people
survivor pools,
people who do it in survivor pools, and it doesn't feel to me like we've done anything yet because we're 2 weeks in. But it seems like when I read about these survivor pools, like so many people are out immediately. I mean, they're just gone in a couple weeks.
I've done it, but it's a long time ago.
Oh, really? How long did you get into how far did you get into the season before you made a mistake?
Oh man, halfway maybe.
Yeah, that'd be cool if you can pull that off.
It was my sister, her school. She was an administrator, and they had it. And then you can bring in anybody you wanted.
So you were the ringer.
Well, I wasn't. No, I had my own.
Oh, okay.
And I actually, I subbed for a couple of years. Because I went back and got my teaching certificate, and so I subbed at her school a lot. So you knew
people. You were kind of in the mix.
Yeah.
So the game we left out, we all commented that Packers-Browns looked pretty enticing, although ultimately we didn't choose it.
Oh, I think that's the ultimate lock.
That's the ultimate lock, but we're saving the Packers for later in the season.
Because it seems like the thing to do, and I don't know why.
But you're going with it.
Yeah.
I've played it in them twice, and to your point, DJ, I was out in week 5 the first time I played it. And I was going with the strategy of picking the favorites early and then kind of ran out of steam real quick. The other time I played, I did what me and PK have been doing here, kind of playing like different matchups and whatnot. I made it to week 8. So
you had you think this way is the strategy way to go?
Yes, at least from
that's what I think, and I'm not sure it's true.
I think the strategy way to go, I haven't put the time and energy into doing, which is to map out the whole season, pick all the games now. Because what happens in a week 5 is
Daniels ain't going to play this week, so Mariota's going to play.
Right.
Changes everything.
You get to week 5 and you start hitting teams on bye weeks, so you can't pick against the Saints or the Giants or the Jets because they're not playing, or you can't pick the Bills or Packers. No. So you can paint yourself into a corner after a while between the injuries, what are the matchups that week, and who have you already
We've
used?
only put in each $500 on this, so it's not that big of a deal.
Literally,
if it was like
nothing.
2,000, I would do that.
Except for a big old pile of pride and a lot of ego.
I put in 500. I don't know about you.
Where?
What do you mean where?
Where is the pot? Where did you put in the 500? I just want to see how far you can go with this lie. I don't really care. Just say something.
I
want
can
to see how
go as
creative
far
it
as
is.
I need to go.
You feel stalled
How many
right
times
now.
have I told you I've gone all the way?
That took a horrible turn.
You know what this reminds me of, though, as we're trying to strategize it out. I was involved with softball, and there was a three-way tie. I've told you this story. And we did a coin flip, right? And the guy he wins
he wins and he gets a bye.
Yeah, and he's jumping up and down, going crazy. And I said, "Wait a second. You only get one chance to advance. I get two. Why do you think you won?"
2 of the 3 teams are going to advance, right?
Yeah.
Only one was going to be eliminated.
Right. And he's going nuts. And I looked at him, and it bugged me that he was going nuts. Yeah. What are you going nuts for, you fool? So you play the winner, and then you got to win. Meanwhile, I got 2 chances.
Right. I play the first game, and if I win, I advance. And if I don't, I play you, and I get another chance to advance. So did you advance?
Yes.
Yeah. You win the first one?
I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
I think we did. Yeah. I think we did, because then it wasn't that pressure to worry about. But he was jumping up and down, and I'm thinking,
I kind of thought, all the way through.
And I'm strategizing here because it seems like the thing you're supposed to do.
As long as you don't take a huge risk along the way and blow it. And you haven't. You're 2-0. And you still got those teams to lean on. One of the problems with holding on to those teams.
One was by a PAT missed, and the other was a stop inside the 20 under 2 minutes to go.
Right.
In a 5-point win.
Yeah. Sweating. Yeah. I was sweating the first week, but not the second. The second week was a 20-point game. That was a piece of cake. One thing you'll run into, though, if you save your good teams too long, at the end of the year, do they have to win? You know, when they're up and they've got a big cushion, maybe they don't even play guys the last week or the last 2 weeks.
We ain't getting to the last 2 weeks.
Well, you're going to have to pick, though, because we're still going to care about the standings. We're not going to be perfect at that point. I think we all understand that.
But I think I'd rather have my goal is to be the only one picking.
Well, and I don't blame
we're all picking because we're doing the total.
Right, but
to be the last one undefeated.
Last man standing.
Yes.
Last man standing. Even though you're not going to go 18-0. That'd be awesome if you did.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Of course it's the goal.
It's a goal.
You think you're going to do it, Yak? If you do that and you waste it here where we're playing for free, that's really sad.
That would be really bad.
That'd be really sad, wouldn't it?
I should have signed up for it.
You should have signed up for something where there's a little loot. All right, anything else you want to talk about? Any predictions you want to make?
I've said it all. You know, when we get to 10 o'clock on Friday, I got nothing left. I go home and take a good 15-minute nap.
We got a couple questions up. We'll get to them in the feedback. Joel Klatt loves to say death taxes and Utah football. So we put up football fans, finish this expression, death taxes and ... So we got some reaction to that coming up. And then who wins this week? The people are speaking. 50% of the vote, Texas Tech and BYU. 36% for Utah and BYU. 12% for Utah and East Carolina. And only 3% think it'll be Texas Tech and East Carolina. Both road teams walking out. Both of the both the local teams get beat.
Okay, I mean, it could happen. I wouldn't think that would be the lowest one. I agree.
It'd be the underdogs, right? Tech's a 3.5-point underdog, and East Carolina's a 6.5-point underdog.
Yeah.
All right, DJ and PK, we'll get to your feedback next. Stay with us. Make sure to tune in to Real Golf Radio with Bob Casper and Brian Taylor tomorrow from 6 to 8 a.m. Following Real Golf Radio, it's a 2-hour Ute tailgate special. College football Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. as Alex Geary, Christian Esparza, and Alex Napoli broadcast live from Roland Hall, 720 Guardsman Way. Come hang out and enjoy some food and some games. DJ and PK, it is time for your feedback. What do you think of all the stuff we've been talking about today? Football fans finish this expression. Death, taxes, and... Seth, death, taxes, and Utah losing bowl games.
Ouch.
Death taxes and SEC teams are overrated, Derek says.
It's better to have lost the Rose Bowl than to not have played in the Rose Bowl.
Fact. Although, don't you think that's more true of the Ohio State game than the Penn State game? Had a lot more luster.
Yeah, I get it.
Better weather, first trip there, thrilling game down to the wire. Penn State ended at some point.
Well, it was
in the
a more
second
fun
half.
game. There's no question about that. That's an obvious thing. But I think what you're eliminating is the conference title game, which brings you an immense amount of joy. I was there for both of them, and Ute fans were going berserko as they normally should. I didn't notice much of a difference between year one and year two. Maybe year one was a little more special. I understand that. If you went for 5 in a row, it would get a little old, possibly, but that never happens, and you may never play in that game again.
Winning a conference title is really hard. There's programs that are respected programs that are going on 10, 20, 30 years, depending on the team, since they won it.
I wouldn't know. The Sun Devils are, they're the defending champions.
The first one since 96?
Yeah, but even at that.
They shared some.
They did. They should, but I don't really count that. I mean,
and that doesn't.
It's so funky, though. I have mixed feelings because you won one game. There's 4 teams that played 9 games, and you all had the same record, but you won the one game, and the other 2 teams didn't even get a chance to participate.
Okay, but they had the head-to-head.
But it's not. It wasn't totally head-to-head. No,
it wasn't. The
Devils didn't play Iowa State. They didn't play each other.
Yeah.
They didn't play Colorado.
Well, they played Iowa State, didn't they? Didn't they blow them out in the conference title game?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I have a hard time.
They didn't. Colorado, I get.
No,
they didn't play Colorado.
But in the old days, everybody played, and then that was
That was when it was the Pac-10 and everybody played each other 9. That was the purest.
You
get to 12, and now you're not playing the same
up.
schedule.
And then you only. Kansas State was the Big 12
champion with a 6-3 record, and TCU with 9-0 wasn't.
That bothers me.
That should bother everybody. That one's so clear cut.
And even when
bizarro.
the Devils won last year, great. Of course, I was rooting for them. But still, what did they do that the other 3 didn't do? I mean, I realize they had the head-to-head against BYU, but even at that,
and they ended up with a head-to-head against Iowa State.
I know, but you're missing the point. That was after the fact. It's not. It's based on one game, not 9 games. I still think that the regular season, the team that's on top, if there was less or there's 4, I get it. But the team that's on top, like the TCU, in my mind, that year, 3 years ago, they were the Big 12 champs. But somehow it's jacked up, and they weren't. I have a problem with that.
Okay, so if it's the old days, then you'd have co-champions. Which is a little funky.
Okay, I go old days then. Yeah, you would have
93
quad champions.
Yeah, I can't find a 4, but I find there's several years here where the Pac-12 had 3 teams. 2000, Washington, Oregon State were all 7-1.
I know, but at least they played against each other.
Yeah, they're not playing each other in the bigger leagues is an issue. There's no doubt about it.
And every league is a bigger league now.
It is.
Now, if you beat that team twice, like Utah beat Oregon twice,
you're the champ.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. That's a different story. When they did that, amen to them.
Didn't they win a tiebreaker to get in to play USC? I think they did.
Yeah, there was some concocted 4 things need to happen, and all 4 of them happened. That was just fun because it was so wild.
Well, a few of them were going to happen. They need 4 things to happen. Okay, well, you control one of them, and Utah's playing Colorado, and Colorado wasn't good at that point. So that was a gimme.
And I think Washington was going to beat Washington State.
And that was another gimme.
But Oregon State
beating Oregon, that's why you didn't think it was going to happen.
Drops the ball on the goal line, essentially. And the 1 year Cristobal was out. Well, that year Dillingham was out. The Devils literally had a plane waiting for him after that game. You're not going to be distracted?
Cool.
that would be, and he was going to take the job, obviously. Mm-hmm. That would be like, suppose their quarterback or their running back said, hey, I'm really into this game, but I want you to know I'm transferring to another school next year.
Well, we could get that depending on what they do with the transfer date in January. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, but I'm talking a premier player, not some guy who's not getting PT. We understand that. But nevertheless, the Utes capitalized. That wasn't their fault. And then they went and worked Oregon again.
It was almost identical. That was weird, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Same things going on the second year, but yeah.
Death, taxes, and penalty flags, Travis says.
Penalty flags? Against whom? Just
he doesn't say.
Random flags tossed in the air?
Travis has seen too many plays wiped out by penalties.
I love it when the referee chucks it so vigorously. Like, I got this, man.
You can't get away with that.
Yeah.
Death taxes and ticket prices are increasing, Brian says.
Okay. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. It's not immediately obvious who he roots for. Just checked his bio
Lower ticket
there.
prices.
Yeah, okay. Well, death taxes and BYU hasn't played anyone yet. It's from Jeremy.
Okay, you're not alone there, Jeremy.
No, it's like we were talking about yesterday. That's the thing about having both Utah and BYU in the same power conference. When they're Mountain West together, they both have big non-conference games, so the start of the season was exciting because they'd be playing a big game. And then when the Utes went to the Pac-12 and BYU was independent, they played each other in the non-conference, and that was a big game.
Sure, but, I mean, they scheduled P4 opponents, and they weren't good, so you can't really dump on them for that.
Not only weren't good, we're genuinely bad.
Awful. Yeah. Although I think Stanford would beat UC Los Angeles.
Now that we've seen Stanford win a game. Mm-hmm. All right. But still,
I think the defense is legit.
I look at these power rankings, 1 through 136 and all that, just to see who's played. And so the middle would be 68, and there's literally nobody, Texas Tech included, who's played anyone better than Team 70.
I understand.
So you're better, but you still ought to be a gimme.
What would be wild if Stanford was really bad and they fired Reich?
Mm-hmm. Fire the interim coach?
Yes.
Doesn't seem to be any point to that, PK.
I know. A lot of stuff that I say is pointless, and a lot of sports is pointless.
We'll put this at the top of the list. Jacob Benner coming up next. They'll make a point. Stay with us right here on The Zone.